I had promised myself that I would not do another childcare manhwa, but at this point, I cannot help but just contradict myself every single time. So for the millionth time, here is another childcare manhwa for you all. So without further delay, let's begin our recap. The manhwa opens with a voice addressing His Majesty as the elder brother. The speaker presents a journal that records Maxon's language habits and politely asks whether he would like to read it. This dignified elder brother is none other than the Emperor of the Empire. At the same time, the female protagonist remarks that the same situation applies to the other sibling as well, informing a certain man that if he reads the journal, he will discover that Marin struck a boy. That boy is Jon, the captain of the Knights of the Great Temple. It is already the 10th time such an incident has occurred. Both men state firmly that there can be no excuses for what has happened. The female protagonist requests that they please raise their heads, explaining that only then can they proceed with a proper parent-teacher conference. The youngest captain of the Great Temple Knights, a man whom even high nobles cannot easily confront, and the Emperor, the very sky of the Empire, are formidable figures. Yet even they are no exception when standing before Ephna Belchester, the homeroom teacher of the Sunlight class at Rondel Kindergarten. Ephna is a kindergarten teacher at the prestigious Rondel Kindergarten, and despite the overwhelming authority of the two men before her, she maintains her composure. Ephna is also a transmigrator who finds herself inside the world of novel. Within her class, the Sunlight class, a beautiful young girl approaches her. This girl is Marin, the heroine of the original story and the youngest daughter of the High Priest. Ephna warmly greets Marin. On the other side stands the Imperial Prince, Maxon, the male lead of the original work. The classroom is filled with second-generation heirs of the most prestigious families in the Empire. Ephna asks her students who would like to sing together with her, and all of them eagerly respond that they would. If only that were the entirety of their worries, how peaceful it would be. This world is the setting of a novel, and its introduction unfolds in contradiction to what Ephna remembers. In the original version, Marin looks forward to her debut at the age of 18. At 18, Marin heads toward a terrace, where she meets Maxon for the first time. Their first encounter does not take place when they are 5-year-olds in kindergarten. The original storyline is not merely twisted, it is completely shattered. Ephna chooses kindergarten teaching, the same job she held in her previous life, simply to make a living. She cannot afford to treat it lightly, so she devotes herself wholeheartedly to her work. Because of her dedication, this kindergarten grows into the finest educational institution in the Empire. No one could have predicted that the protagonist of the novel would meet so quickly within its walls. One day, Marin becomes so excited that she accidentally bumps into Maxon. Maxon reacts by calling her stupid. Marin interprets the word as an insult and retaliates by hitting him. As the two children begin fighting, Ephna attempts to calm them, but she realizes that the situation is not easily resolved. These small children pull at one another with more efficiency than any adult quarrel. Ephna steps between them and reminds them that fighting is unacceptable. For this reason, the story returns to the present. Ephna greets both guardians and thanks them for agreeing to attend this meeting. She introduces herself as the children's homeroom teacher and addresses the guardians formally. Jon clarifies that he is Marin's elder brother and tells her that she may speak comfortably. However, one man is the Emperor, and the other is the captain of the Knights. Ephna wonders how she is supposed to speak comfortably in front of such figures. Outwardly, she first expresses her gratitude to both of them for coming. The Emperor remarks that, since he has been summoned all the way here, he hopes the matter is worthwhile. Ephna feels as though she is being crushed beneath their presence, yet she refuses to retreat. She decides to get straight to the point. She explains that at this age, children are very active. As their large muscles develop, they naturally move around frequently. She mentally recalls her strategy for handling meetings with guardians flexibly. First, lay the groundwork. Second, lay the groundwork. Third, lay the groundwork. Reassuring the guardians that there is no major problem with their child must always come first. Although she claims she will get straight to the point, her introduction becomes rather lengthy. She explains that because children at this age are energetic, they sometimes fail to control their strength and accidentally hurt other children. The Emperor questions whether someone truly dared to lay hands on a member of the imperial family. Jon responds that it seems the young prince is quite mischievous. The Emperor scoffs and remarks that if someone were to die for insulting the imperial family, his younger brother would be saddened. Jon counters that the people of the Empire would be saddest, as it would be an unjust death. The Emperor states that there has never been a precedent of anyone insulting the imperial family and surviving. questioning how that could be considered unjust. Jon remarks that it is pitiful if the imperial house cannot even accept the smallest criticism. Ephna begins to regret calling the two of them together. She clarifies that Marin and Maxon both exchanged punches. The revelation leaves both guardians confused. Jon insists that it is impossible, describing Marin as a precious child who would not even harm a passing insect. The Emperor adds that Maxon has been faithfully carrying out the etiquette education befitting the imperial family. Ephna herself once believed this portrayal when she read the original novel. She acknowledges that it is an age when impulses are difficult to suppress. However, she understands that the larger problem lies elsewhere. If this behavior continues, the two children will struggle to form close bonds with their classmates. The youngest daughter of the High Priest, who is said to be capable of bringing down even a flying bird, and the one and only Prince of the Empire, whom no one dares to treat carelessly, such titles create invisible barriers. No one dares to approach their younger siblings freely. Ephna can practically see the tension written across their foreheads. She assures them that she will do her best to guide the children at school, but she emphasizes that she will need their cooperation at home as well. Both men are left utterly confused and speechless. Observing their silence, she inwardly labels them parenting rookies. Compared to other guardians, they resemble gentle beasts rather than fearsome authorities. At times like this, it is important to hold the reins firmly. Jon promises that he will speak to Marin properly. Ephna turns to the Emperor, who replies that he will instruct the Imperial Education Officer regarding the matter. She immediately objects, insisting that he must speak directly with Maxon. The Emperor questions whether she even understands who he is. Ephna responds that she does, acknowledging him as the sky of the Empire. He asks whether she understands how much time he has set aside to be present. She sighs and replies that since His Majesty has made the effort to come all the way here, she believes he will devote even greater attention to Maxon. Internally, she braces herself, thinking that if he dislikes her words, he can have her executed. She has already lived through death once, and there is nothing left to fear. The Emperor begins to respond, but Ephna wonders whether she has overstepped her bounds. He is still the Emperor, and perhaps she has been too careless. Jon remarks that she is correct, and suggests that making excuses would make their family appear truly pathetic. Ephna silently begs him not to provoke the Emperor further at this moment, especially not with that smug expression that makes him appear equally guilty. Ephna then states that the same responsibility applies to Jon as well. She addresses him as captain of the Knights, and asks both of them to speak with their children about their kindergarten life. She reflects that this compulsion to speak her mind is an occupational disease. Even at the risk of being struck down, she must say what needs to be said. It is a desperate struggle not to be swayed during a parent-teacher conference. The two men fall silent once more, appearing deep in thought. Ephna considers that this is only natural, as parenting is always the most difficult job in the world. At that moment, the door opens. Marin enters the room. Jon looks at his little sister and remarks upon her clingy nature, beckoning her to come to him and calling her sweetly. Marin initially rushes toward him, but to his surprise, she turns back and runs to Ephna instead, declaring her love for her teacher. Ephna hears Marin's heartfelt declaration of love and immediately begins to blush. Her composure wavers for a moment as the child looks up at her with innocent concern. Marin anxiously asks whether her brother is going to be scolded because of her actions. Ephna finds herself thinking that Marin is unbearably cute. She gently assures the little girl that no one is being scolded, and that she was merely telling the guardians what a good and honest child Marin is. At that very moment, Maxon also rushes in, calling out that Marin should not barge into the room so recklessly. He halts abruptly when he notices that the Emperor is present. The Emperor questions Maxon's rudeness toward his classmate. Maxon quickly retreats and hides behind Ephna, apologizing in a small voice. Maxon points out that it seems Maxon is the one in trouble now. Ephna tells both children that they must not enter during a counseling session. With that, the meeting for the day effectively comes to an end. The children's sudden entrance shatters the tension in the room, and the mighty Knight Commander has just been brushed off by his own little sister. Ephna announces that they will conclude today's session, as the children appear to have grown tired of waiting. As everyone begins to disperse, Ephna informs the Emperor that she has something she wishes to discuss with him privately. He asks what it concerns. She cannot help but notice how extraordinarily tall he is. Meanwhile, Marin pulls Maxon along, reminding him that the teacher told them to leave. Ephna gathers her courage and turns back to the Emperor, intending to speak. However, he steps closer, and she instinctively steps backward. He continues advancing slightly, causing her to retreat, until she blurts out that he is standing a little too close. In her flustered movement, her hand accidentally presses against his chest. She gasps in shock, unable to believe that she has just touched the Emperor's chest. The Emperor calmly remarks that the shelf behind her is old and appears as though it might collapse, explaining that he was merely checking it and will call someone to repair it. He asks whether something is wrong. Ephna immediately denies it, clearing her throat in embarrassment. She explains that she hesitated to bring this up, but the matter she wishes to discuss concerns how they address each other. He wonders whether she is referring to the manner in which she and he speak to one another. She confirms that she is. She explains that the most important aspect of education is establishing a proper relationship between guardian and teacher. To achieve that, she asks him to repeat after her. She instructs him to say, "Miss Teacher." He responds with simply "Teacher." She insists that he saying "Miss" as well is not difficult. He again calls her "Teacher." She continues to press the matter until, at last, he relents and says, "Miss Teacher." Ephna claps her hands in satisfaction and declares that from now on, when he is at the kindergarten, he must address her properly in that manner. She adds that there is something even more important. Even if one feels slightly intimidated, one must push forward. Mutual formal address is essential, especially in front of the children. He must not use informal speech at the kindergarten. Having little choice, the Emperor states that he understands. Ephna finally feels somewhat at ease. He then remarks that, in that case, may he say what he originally intended. She grants him permission, internally marveling at how adept he is at speaking formally, and wondering why he had been so stubborn earlier. He asks her to visit the Imperial Palace sometime. She is taken aback when he suggests that she consider it a home visit. She wonders if he is truly inviting her personally. The thought crosses her mind that this resembles the romance fantasy version of a "would you like to come up for coffee" advance. Advances from a parent are, of course, unacceptable. She promptly states that she cannot have private meetings with a student's guardian. He replies that this is the first time he has encountered a teacher who considers a home visit to be a private meeting. Ephna asks whether there is a particular reason he requires such a visit. He pauses thoughtfully before stepping closer again. He gently brushes aside a strand of her hair and explains that he needs to speak with her alone. There are many things he wishes to find out, and there are far too many listening ears in the current setting. Primarily matters concerning Maxon, of course, though he is also curious about several things regarding her. He casually mentions that she had a small piece of confetti stuck near her ear. Ephna responds with mild embarrassment, thanking him. He states that he will assume she understands his intentions and that he will take his leave. He bids her farewell, deliberately addressing her as Miss Teacher. As he walks away, Ephna wonders why he stood so close and what exactly he wants to know about her. 5 years earlier, whispers circulate among the servants. One maid mentions that she heard the master intends to add Lady Lillian to the family register. Another responds that Lady Lillian is merely the daughter of a mistress and has only been at the mansion for a month. The first maid insists that it is not about her status but about her talent, the one thing Lady Ephna could never possess, even if the heavens split open. The second maid scoffs at the idea that someone could be considered disturbed for lacking talent. Yet she claims that in every respect, Lady Lillian surpasses Lady Ephna. As they speak, they suddenly notice Ephna standing behind them, pale and silent like a ghost. Ephna asks what it truly means to be like a Windister. She asks because she genuinely does not understand. The uncertainty gnaws at her mind, and she feels she might lose her sanity if she does not find out. One maid dismisses her, asking what nonsense she is muttering and telling her to go inside instead of being annoying. Ephna reflects that, judging by their tone, although she bears the title of lady, she is treated like a stray dog fighting over scraps. One maid mutters that something must be wrong with her and wonders whether she ate something spoiled. Ephna begins to suspect that perhaps it is because she lacks the talent they were discussing. She realizes she has truly become trapped in the wrong web novel this time. However, she informs them calmly that she possesses a rather serious occupational hazard. Whenever she encounters a rude child, she simply cannot ignore it. With a firm expression, she asks which one of them would like to be the first to sit in the thinking chair. The Winchester Count family, especially all the bloodlines of this family, is known for producing children born with outstanding talent. In every generation, someone emerges with a beautiful voice, someone else possesses excellent physical ability, and another displays a remarkable knack for business. Each of them stands out in various fields. Even though the Winchester Count family does not have a long and ancient history, It is through these extraordinary talents that they are able to secure their place among the central nobility. However, for the first time in the family's history, a child without any talent is born, and that child is Ephna. This existence makes her seem like a mistake. After all, she has managed to reduce her original story to that of the Wind Esther family, yet at this moment it is still before the main characters are even born. She is the so-called talentless Ephna, a 17-year-old girl, unrelated to the main characters of the original storyline. Someone calls out to Ephna, saying that she has been searching everywhere for her. The dazzling child who approaches her is Lillian. Lillian laughs brightly, accompanied by her two equally dazzling yet thoroughly annoying older brothers. Ephna asks Lillian what the matter is. Lillian excitedly explains that they should go out to eat together because their father has said he will buy them something delicious. Ephna wonders why this sudden kindness appears now, when until this moment, he has only ever given her leftover food. Lillian then suggests inviting Ephna's fiancé, the Marquis, as well. Ephna calmly informs Lillian that he has gone down to his territory the previous day. This information makes Lillian visibly startled, and she begins to think deeply, which causes Ephna to notice that Lillian seems somewhat disappointed. One of her older brothers scolds Ephna, saying that she should have covered up that matter, and questions whether she truly needed to state it so bluntly. Lillian, confused, asks what he is talking about. He responds gravely that he had intended to endure the embarrassment and take her along, but she is now irritating him. Ephna wonders what kind of nonsense this is. It is clearly anger vented without reason, yet no one points it out. The entire situation feels like a disaster about to unfold. Ephna asks why she should cover for her own fiancé. Her brother grabs her arm and demands to know whether she has lost her mind and whether she is truly talking back at this moment. Suddenly, their father appears and commands that there be enough of this, not in front of the servants. Her father turns to Ephna. She responds respectfully, yet in the next instant he strikes her sharply across the cheek. She cannot believe that he slaps her over something so trivial. Her father declares that since she has no talent, she should live as though she were dead. Unlike her, Lillian has manifested yet another talent. On her very first attempt at shooting, she has hit 6 out of 10 targets. This achievement proves that Lillian possesses the same talent as the first Count Wind Esther. Today's outing is meant to celebrate that accomplishment. On a day when everyone should be rejoicing, he accuses Ephna of daring to ruin his daughter's mood. Ephna thinks bitterly that she too is his daughter. She wonders what she is to him, or rather, what Ephna represents in his eyes. She knows she should argue and grow angry, yet her body refuses to move, as though it has been conditioned to submission. Lillian approaches their father and gently assures him that there is no need to worry, that Ephna will be fine. She suggests that they leave her sister to rest and hurry along because she is hungry. Their father agrees and announces that today they will do everything Lillian desires. After their meal, they will even go dress shopping. Ephna remains standing there, stunned. In this house, she is lower than a bug. The next day, she is in the garden. She thinks that at least here, no one will bother her. Unlike her room, the garden does not smell foul or leak water from the ceiling. She wonders whether smashing something might make her feel better. Then she notices a gun resting on a table and considers whether she should try shooting it once. She picks up the gun and pulls the trigger. The recoil is stronger than she expects. To her surprise, she hits directly in the center of the target. She wonders whether it is merely luck. Nevertheless, she feels slightly better. The second shot sounds louder than she anticipates. If she is caught, she knows she will be struck again, so she decides she should hurry back inside. At the Marquis' residence, Ephna is working. She steps outside briefly and wonders what day it is. It is already the 20th night. Time seems to fly endlessly. She spends her days attending lessons meant to make her more proper, and her nights buried in paperwork. At this point, it feels as though she is being used as nothing more than a servant. She decides to at least get some fresh air. As she walks, she hears voices and recognizes that they are coming from her fiancé and Peck's room. When she looks, she sees Lillian inside with her fiancé. Lillian gently tells him to stop, saying that her lips will become chapped. Her fiancé apologizes to Lillian, explaining that she is so beautiful that he cannot restrain himself. Ephna stands there, realizing that the man inside is her fiancé, and the woman with him is Lillian. She wonders why on earth they are together. Lillian asks him whether she is even prettier than Ephna. He replies that his engagement to that gloomy woman is merely a means to secure his marriage. He leans close to Lillian once more and whispers that his engagement to Ephna is nothing more than a means to marry Lillian in the end. Lillian responds that even so, it is difficult for her to endure. She admits that she grows jealous. She remarks that the daughter of the main wife, having no talent at all, is pitiful and pathetic, yet at least Ephna is decent at paperwork, and she should cling to that, since she possesses no other talent. Hearing every word, Ephna's hand trembles. The candle slips from her grasp and falls to the floor. Startled by the sound, she turns and rushes away. She keeps running without direction. Her head spins violently, and nausea rises in her throat. She feels as though she is about to vomit, yet her stomach is empty, and nothing comes out. The pain intensifies, sharp and unbearable. She wonders how she has endured all of this for so long. Through her blurred vision, she notices someone approaching, calling out to her. A man shouts for her to move, warning that a horse is charging forward. Before she can react, the horse crashes into her. The impact sends her body flying, and darkness swallows her consciousness. After some time, she opens her eyes again. She finds herself lying in her own room. A maid stands beside her bed, looking both frightened and irritated. The maid exclaims that Ephna has scared her and demands to know what happened. She adds sharply that since Ephna is awake, she should stop collapsing all the time, because it is nothing but an annoyance. Ephna slowly looks around. This is indeed her room. She is certain that she was struck by a horse. She asks the maid what day it is. The maid snaps that she cannot even keep track of the days anymore and informs her that it is the 4th day of the imperial calendar. Ephna's mind freezes at the date. While she is still processing this, someone enters the room. It is her fiancé, Haldness. He approaches her bedside and asks whether she is all right, explaining that she suddenly collapsed and he was worried. Ephna immediately asks him why he is here. Haldness looks confused and asks what she means by that, reminding her that they just had a meal together earlier that day. Ephna's thoughts race. If this man has come to the country estate, then it truly must be the 4th of the imperial calendar. That means she has returned to the time before her death. She attempts to gather her thoughts, but Haldness continues speaking endlessly. Finally, she calls out to him and tells him to leave. She states that he is too noisy, and that hearing his voice makes her feel as though she is growing dumber by the second. Haldness is utterly taken aback. He stammers that she must be in pain and says he will leave and send her a letter instead. Ephna lowers her gaze. If this situation is not a dream, then there is only one thing she needs to do. The scene shifts to a group of maids whispering among themselves. They murmur that Lady Ephna has apparently gone crazy again. One of them remarks that it is frightening and wonders whether she could live quietly for once. Ephna suddenly appears before them and asks whether they do not have work to do. She orders them to step aside because she needs to speak with her father. One maid informs her that the Count is currently busy and suggests that if it concerns handing over documents, they can deliver them on her behalf. Ephna responds only with a cold glare that makes both maids flinch. At that moment, the Count himself emerges and demands to know what all the noise is about. Ephna calmly states that his timing is perfect, as it saves her the trouble of going inside. She declares that she will get straight to the point. The scene cuts. Later, as she walks away, someone calls out to her. It is Haldness again. He rushes toward her and grabs her arm, demanding to know what this application for expulsion from the family registry is supposed to mean. He questions whether she is saying such things because she is ill and not in her right mind, insisting that they should return to the Count and seek treatment for her. Ephna pulls her hand free and states that she is far more clear-headed than he is at this moment. She adds coldly that grabbing her without permission constitutes harassment. She then informs him that she has something to give him. It is a letter of annulment. She declares that she has no need for a husband like him and presents the document as a gift. Haldness stares at it in confusion and asks what it is supposed to be. She tells him to read it carefully. It is a letter formally annulling their engagement. He demands to know what this means. She explains that it means she is calling off the engagement. At that moment, Lillian arrives, asking what on earth is happening. Ephna turns toward her and addresses her mockingly as her pretty little sister. She tells Lillian to take this trash back with her. She declares that her place, her fiancé, and everything she has discarded suit Lillian far better. With that, she leaves. The maids whisper that Ephna must truly have gone mad. They question why her fiancé is being handed over to Lady Lillian and wonder whether it is related to the rumor from before. Lillian stands there, her expression dark and furious. Finally, Ephna returns to her room. She thinks to herself that she has finally done it. Even so, it is better to escape this wretched house. If she remains any longer, she truly will lose her mind. She decides that she should at least pack her belongings. When she opens her cupboard, however, she discovers that there is no luggage at all. There is only a single notebook. It is a diary. As she reads it, she finds an entry stating that today she is certain she is like the first Count Wind Esther, and that she possesses the same talent as him. Ephna frowns. If it is the talent of the first Count Wind Esther, was that not supposed to be Lillian's? After awakening in this body, she has not felt any special ability. Perhaps if she reads further, something will become clear. She continues reading. Out of curiosity, the writer of the diary once fired the gun placed at the shooting range, and all 20 shots struck the center of the target. She secretly played her father's violin and was able to perform a tune she had heard only once, flawlessly. She wished to study, so she stole her brother's textbook on the language of the Cuman kingdom. Although the letters were unfamiliar at first, she soon became able to read them. A talent for languages, a talent for music, a talent for shooting, a talent for business. Ephna's heart pounds. Could it be that all of these were the talents the original Ephna possessed? The talent had been hers all along. Back in the present, she becomes a member of the Viscounty of Belchester. When she is trembling and running away from her family, it is Viscount Belchester who appears like a savior and takes her in. However, since the family finances are not abundant, she finds employment to be of help at the nearly collapsed DEL kindergarten. Perhaps luck gives her a push like the wind, for as magical engineering advances across the empire, knowledge and skill grow in importance. Even nobles who once considered studying and working to be shameful now begin to devote themselves to education. The academy, once merely a social venue for nobles, becomes a trusted institution of learning, and kindergartens, which are responsible for early education, gain enormous attention as well. 2 years later, a kindergarten boom sweeps across the empire, and at its center stands Ephna. Someone calls out to her and apologizes for catching her on her way to work, asking whether she could attend the charity masquerade ball that evening. Ephna replies that she can attend, though she worries that someone might recognize her. The old lady tells her that if that is her concern, she is right to think so, and if it troubles her, she need not worry, since it is their own masquerade. Ephna immediately responds that there is no problem, and that she will go to the masquerade ball. Perhaps because she always calculates so carefully and counts so much, she truly cannot bring herself to refuse. After working overtime, she thinks the party is indeed boring. When she returns home, she still has to complete today's report and prepare this month's event schedule. As she stands there, she suddenly hears someone calling out sharply, insisting that if they have stepped on someone's shoes, they should apologize. A small boy protests that he did not step on anyone, while another tells him not to dare talk back. Ephna notices that several children are ganging up on a smaller one. One of the children in the group demands whether the small boy knows who he is. The small boy replies that he does not. This answer makes the other child angry, and he attempts to strike the smaller boy, declaring that he dares to talk back. Seeing this, Ephna grows truly worried. At this rate, they will become violent. She is about to step in when a lady beside her advises her not to interfere and to remain still like everyone else. The lady explains that the 3 children are from central noble houses. It is pitiful for the smaller child to be bullied, but nothing can be done. Ephna questions what is meant by central nobles, pointing out that they appear to be only about 8 years old. The lady beside her urges her to keep quiet. Even so, Ephna steps forward and orders the troublemakers to stop at once. The children turn toward her and question who she is, asking whether she does not know who they are. Among the surrounding nobles, some remark that she is brave, while others say it is not bravery, but stupidity. The larger troublemaker boasts that his father is a marquis and that he will report everything to him. Ephna pulls down her mask and tells him to go ahead and inform his father. She declares that it is about time she pays him a visit. At the sight of her face, the children recognize her as their teacher. As Ephna's expression darkens, murmurs ripple through the crowd, wondering whether she is the famous kindergarten teacher who is so skilled with children. Ephna calls out to the children and asks whether they have not learned to greet their teacher properly, and whether cornering someone like this is what she has taught them. She questions why they are trembling now, and remarks that it must be frightening to be scolded after so long. She calls them little rascals and says she should have known better. Suddenly, someone calls out to Ben. Ephna turns and sees a young man approaching. The little boy addresses him as his big brother. The adult asks Ben what is happening. Ephna grows worried, realizing that this man is the boy's elder brother. The overwhelming pressure he exudes causes the previously chatty noble brats to fall silent at once. Ben explains that they fought, while the other children tremble and hide behind Ephna. She steps forward and greets the man, introducing herself as the children's teacher. She states that it was not a serious fight, and that the parents will be arriving soon. The man remarks coldly that the parents must be crawling over already. Ephna thinks inwardly that there are many people present, so surely they will walk rather than crawl. She bows to him and clarifies that it was not a mutual fight, but a one-sided act of bullying. As their teacher, she sincerely apologizes. Addressing the guests, she states that bullying cannot be dismissed as a mere mistake, that this time it is entirely their fault, and that their parents are arriving now. The man notices Marquis Gopin approaching. The Marquis rushes forward and embraces his son. The man coolly observes that the Marquis is a pathetic fool who cannot even control his own child, and that perhaps that is what should be said. The Marquis, both angry and frightened, demands to know what he has just said, whether he has gone insane, whether he knows who he is, and how he dares to speak in such a manner. The man replies that it is enough that he has heard the Marquis's son picked a fight with his little brother, and he questions whether House Gopin teaches its children to start fights they cannot win. At last, he removes his mask. Everyone is visibly stunned, for he is Duke Kaden Hildebrand. The Marquis immediately lowers his head and offers a hurried apology. Ephna thinks to herself that the arrogant Marquis is bowing his head now, and she reflects that a duke's rank is far above that of a Marquis. Still, she feels that the name Hildebrand sounds familiar. She ponders it for a moment, and then the realization strikes her. She wonders if it truly means that this is the Grand Duchy of Hildebrand. His novel opens with him asking someone whether they are an idiot. He declares that everyone is alive until they die, that it would be more efficient for them to beg to be killed for the sake of others as well, and that their appearance is so unpleasant it becomes boringly terrible. Original readers once called him a tyrant for lines like these, yet now, in the present, he simply calls out to his little brother, saying that he is hungry. Ephna immediately recognizes him as the Prince of Terror. The cute child standing nearby is Ben. She cannot help but wonder what on earth happens to him as he grows up. Ben turns toward a lady and then tells his brother that someone has fallen down over there. Kaden looks at Ben in question. Ben suggests that they should help her. Kaden replies that it is not their problem to solve. Ephna thinks to herself that she knows exactly from whom Ben learned such things. She steps forward and asks Kaden if she may add something. He asks what it is and allows her to speak. The intimidation he exudes is no joke, yet she forces herself to say what must be said. She explains that he should not leave a child by himself, especially a child of Ben's age, who can easily be drawn to sensational sights and attention. He must be extra careful. Murmurs spread through the crowd, wondering whether she has just admonished the Grand Duke. Since her speech lasts more than 5 lines, some even begin to wonder whether she will be safe after this. The two of them remain silent for a moment. Then Kaden smirks faintly and remarks that he will be careful, addressing her as teacher. The next day, Ephna thinks that she wishes she had spoken to him more. She had been too indecisive yesterday. She should not have let the original villain's guardian leave like that. At that moment, someone approaches her and says that she has found something while cleaning the library and asks her to take a look. It is written in an Asian language that the girl cannot read. She wonders whether Ephna might know it. Ephna takes the book and says she will see. The instant her eyes fall upon the script, she recognizes that it is not an ancient language at all. It is Korean. She asks the girl whether she may borrow the book. The girl agrees, asking her to return it before the faculty meeting. Ephna immediately begins to run, her mind racing with questions about why such a book is in their library and why it even exists in this world. Finally reaching her office, she stares at the book and wonders what kind of story it contains. The title states that Ephna is a villainess. She wonders whether she has read it incorrectly. The text repeats that Ephna is a villainess, something no one in this world would ever associate with her, leaving her utterly confused. It declares that Ephna is the most evil woman in the world, that she always goes around threatening to kill scientists. In the end, the villainous Ephna stands upon the guillotine. Everyone gathers to watch her final moments. For the crime of using black magic, which is strictly forbidden in the Empire, she is sentenced to death. In addition, the Imperial Knights are to be dispatched to the Grand Duchy of Hildebrand for collaborating with her. Ephna's thoughts spiral in disbelief. Sentenced to death? For using black magic? And the Grand Duchy as well? Now she remembers the reason behind Ben's corruption. The scene shifts as she stands before Kaden. and says that she would like to discuss something with him. She recommends Ben's enrollment in the Royal Kindergarten. As Kaden looks at her, she asks him to review the proposal positively. He examines the documents while she internally begs him to enroll Ben. She has to stop his little brother from becoming the main antagonist and prevent the corruption that stems from Kaden's death. Kaden states that he refuses. Ephna is utterly taken aback. She assures him that their kindergarten is a professional educational institution and that she is confident it will be beneficial to Ben. Kaden replies that if it is professional education, Ben is already receiving it. She knows she must intervene somehow. She explains that it is also important for Ben to broaden his perspective by spending time with children his own age. Developing social skills is the foundation of a child's growth. She notices Kaden twitch slightly, a sign that her words have elicited a reaction. What could be more concerning than a child's peer relationships? As he begins unbuttoning the top button of his shirt, she blushes, momentarily flustered by the unexpected gesture. Still, she asks whether he will look at the documents once more. If Ben is accepted, he will be assigned to her class. Kaden explains that the problem is that Ben is his half-brother. He worries that Ben will be ostracized for being an illegitimate child. Ephna reassures him that he need not worry and asks him to look at the last page of the documents. Kaden does as she requests and asks what it is. She explains that the children in her class have written letters welcoming Ben. Kaden says that he understands but questions whether Ben's name has been changed without his knowledge. The moment she notices the spelling mistake in the name, she feels as though her mind has completely short-circuited. The Guardian remarks that it is indeed quite an impressive letter, and she assures everyone that they will soon be going on their spring field trip. She believes it will be a good experience for Ben as well. She mentions that she has recently heard news about the Grand Duchy, stating that the Duke is putting considerable effort into educating the people of his territory. Garden Snugs responds that she is well informed and confirms that the information is true. At the same time, she cannot help but wonder why he is smiling so scarily, as his expression looks as though it is about to explode. Even the sight of his tightly fastened shirt appears terrifying, as if unbuttoning it would unleash something dreadful. She shifts her gaze and explains that their kindergarten is the Empire's first official early education institution. The Empire is currently investing in early education, regardless of social status. He scoffs at the idea that she even cares about another territory's affairs, questioning whether she is truly implying such a thing. Ephna states firmly that they must follow the trend to build a strong educational institution in the Grand Duchy. He needs to understand how kindergartens function, as they will serve as a valuable reference for educating the people of his territory. Garden acknowledges her confidence and asks her to continue explaining the admissions process. Her eyes sparkle at the opportunity, and she immediately agrees with enthusiasm. The scene then shifts to Ben introducing himself to the class. Madding excitedly declares that his name is Park, while Ephna gently corrects Marin, indicating that it is something else. Before she can finish, Maxine insists that it is not Park, but Bourne. With no other option, Ben intervenes and clarifies his own name. The children eagerly invite him to sit beside them. Ephna directs Ben to sit next to Maxine and gathers everyone's attention, announcing that it is story time. She informs them that today's book is titled The Story of the Arithmetic Knight. As she searches for the book, she discovers a letter from the Imperial Palace. The field trip location has been changed. It will now take place at the Imperial Palace instead of the park. Ephna immediately goes to the principal, pointing out that they have already completed the site survey and finalized all the plans for the park visit. However, the principal explains that the Imperial Palace submitted the proposal first, and they cannot refuse such courtesy. Ephna protests that this means they will have to redo all the surveys and plans. She turns to the other teacher for support, but the other teacher suddenly remembers that her house is supposedly scheduled to catch fire that day. Ephna looks at her in disbelief, stating that she cannot possibly handle the overtime work alone. The other teacher then adds that the slatter living at her house is sick, making it impossible for her to assist. Realizing that everyone appears to be quite busy, Ephna reluctantly decides that she will go instead. She cannot believe that during her luxurious holiday, she is forced to take on extra work. She also complains inwardly about how far the Imperial Palace is, especially in a world that does not even have taxis. Suddenly, she notices something nearby. She overhears someone saying that the fare to the temple is 57 fir. Jon responds that if that is the case, he will place himself in their care. Ephna recognizes the man speaking as Marin's brother, the Knight Commander Jon, who is smiling brightly while the coachman appears to be shaking him down for money. She wonders whether it truly costs that much just to travel to the temple. Finally, she steps forward and proposes a fare of 47 fare instead. The coachman is utterly taken aback. She turns to Jon, noting the coincidence of meeting him there, and then faces the coachman, questioning whether he truly intends to charge 57 fare for such a trip. The coachman insists that he does. She clears her throat, admitting that she cannot keep her expressions straight, and apologizing, explaining that she becomes angry whenever she sees someone overcharging others. The coachman immediately realizes that this young lady will be troublesome for him. Meanwhile, Jon remains utterly confused about the concept of overcharging. She scolds the coachman for attempting to overcharge such an innocent person as Jon. The coachman argues that the distance justifies the price and that it is already cheap. She counters by explaining that she is a local resident and proposes that they cut the price cleanly by 10, settling at 47 fur. This angers him, as he claims that such a price would not even cover the cost of horse feed. The two of them continue arguing intensely, yet she remains stubbornly fixed on 47. The coachman grows increasingly frustrated, unable to comprehend how she refuses to budge even once from that amount. She stands firm and warns that if he continues to insist, she will simply hire another carriage for 45 fir instead. Jon gently suggests that 10 fare is not such a significant amount, and that she does not need to argue so fiercely. However, she scolds him, pointing out that with that money he could buy Madding 3 of her favorite candies. Faced with her persistence, the coachman finally relents and acknowledges that she is indeed a capable young lady. She remarks that he should have agreed earlier. Turning to Jon, she informs him that the coachman has accepted 47 fare. Jon thanks her sincerely, noting that she has protected the value of 3 of Marin's candies. He then asks where she is headed. She replies that she has business at the Imperial Palace. Upon hearing this, Jon suggests that they travel together, wondering if they should share the carriage. Ephna sits inside the carriage, thinking that she feels uncomfortable and that she hates this situation. She wonders if it is because of the lingering memories of being struck in her previous life. Even so, she tells herself that it is still bearable for now. Jon notices her uneasy expression and asks if she is all right. She replies that she is fine, yet he can clearly see her trembling hands. He gently calls out to her and instructs her to inhale deeply for 3 seconds, and then exhale slowly for 7 seconds. He explains that if her motion sickness is severe, she should try calming it down this way, and he offers to count the seconds for her. She follows his instructions, and gradually she begins to feel slightly better. She thanks Jon and tells him that she feels much improved now. Jon explains that when Marin used to suffer from motion sickness, he would soothe her in the same manner. He expresses that he is glad the method works for Ephna as well. Ephna observes that Jon is quite a considerate person. She reflects that as the captain of the knights he must understand the capital better than anyone else. She mentions that she has heard news that a new saint has been chosen. Jon confirms that it has already been about 4 months since the appointment. Ephna immediately inquires about what kind of person the saint is, considering that in her original life she had attempted to kill her, and therefore she believes she should know more. She understands that she must carefully flatter Jon, so that she does not appear suspicious, as though she is plotting to assassinate the saint again. She comments that the saint must surely be super kind and beautiful. Jon replies that the saint is indeed kind to everyone, often smiling warmly, and that she is quite romantic as well. Ephna responds with admiration, saying that it is exactly as expected, and that the saint must be an amazing person. She adds that the work of a saint must be very difficult and truly admirable. Suddenly, the carriage is struck by a stone. The impact immediately makes Ephna go numb. She begins to gasp, tremble, and cry uncontrollably, while Jon calls out to her in alarm. He leans closer, calling her name and asking if she is truly all right. She apologizes and explains that her motion sickness in a carriage can be quite severe. However, the more the carriage moves irregularly, the more violently she trembles. Jon urges her to take deep breaths again, repeating the pattern of inhale and exhale just as before. As he continues to guide her, he notices that she is clutching his hand tightly while trembling and crying. He remains seated beside her, silently observing her distress while allowing her to hold on to him. Eventually, they arrive at the Imperial Palace, and the coachman asks them to disembark. Ephna looks out of the window and informs Jon that they have arrived. She thanks him sincerely. However, the moment she notices that they are still holding hands, she immediately jumps out of the carriage in embarrassment. She apologizes profusely, asking for forgiveness and stating that she has been rude and committed a discourtesy. Jon reassures her that it is all right and tells her not to worry. He reminds her that she also has business at the Imperial Palace and assures her that he is perfectly fine, encouraging her to proceed inside. She nervously tells him that if his hand has been hurt, he should be sure to file a claim. Jon responds lightly that he will charge it with interest as well. At that moment, someone approaches her and announces her arrival. The man introduces himself as Viscount Hu Pen, assigned to guide her through the inspection schedule. There is a bittersweet undertone as she thanks him for working so hard even during a holiday. The Viscount humbly replies that she herself is working diligently as well. Ephna requests that they first examine the rest area, explaining that it is the most important place for the children. He agrees and leads her to a garden space with no high steps or sharp decorations, stating that it would be perfect for young children. She observes that they only need to clear away some scattered stones. The Viscount continues the inspection, pointing out a greenhouse filled with many rare plants which would be excellent for educational purposes. Ephna asks if she may look around more slowly. He replies that his duty was simply to guide her this far and hands her the entry permit, encouraging her to explore at her leisure. She congratulates him on completing his duty, but he clarifies that he still has other responsibilities to attend to. Ephna realizes that this area is the detached palace, commonly used for social gatherings. The entry permit allows her access only up to this point. She notices the fountain and thinks that it could be dangerous, meaning she would need to keep the children away from it, though she is certain they would love it if they saw it. Suddenly, someone calls out to her again. When she turns around, she sees Haldness, her former fiancé. The scene shifts elsewhere to a man begging desperately to be spared. Jon asks about the saint, and he is informed that she has gone out. He remarks that she has likely gone to write another romance novel. He then wonders aloud what should be done with the captive. The man pleads that he knows nothing and begs for mercy. Jon calmly orders his subordinates to drag the man away and dispose of him. As the man is dragged off, he continues shouting for his life to be spared. Jon reflects that seeing nothing but trash like this every single day feels strange. As he looks down at his own hand, he realizes that the lingering sensation from earlier feels unexpectedly pleasant to him. She tells herself not to panic when Haldness asks Ephna what is wrong with her face and whether it is really her. He says that the Marquis household is in trouble, so she guesses that it must be true. She answers that yes, it is really her. She tells him to wipe that stupid look off his face. He leans closer and asks where on earth she has been. Does she know how long he has been searching for her? 5 years. Ephna firmly tells him that is enough and orders him not to come any closer. This only makes him angrier. How can she act so nonchalant after storming out of the house like that? Whatever the case, he says they are going home, and she had better go back to the Count. Ephna tells herself to calm down, count to 3, and run. Look at those stupid eyes. He is about to pull something. 1, 2, 3. She turns to leave, but then she hears Lillian calling out to her. Lillian approaches, wearing temple clothes. She greets Ephna and says it has been a while, asking how she has been. Ephna replies that yes, it has been a long time. However, before she can continue, Lillian walks past her and goes straight to Haldness. Ephna feels irritated that Lillian so naturally ignores her. Lillian tells Haldness that she went through the trouble of leaving the temple to see him, and yet he walked away without a word. Hearing the word temple, Ephna suddenly notices the dress and the crest. Why is she wearing clothes from the temple? Lillian explains that she has been busy during the saint purification, the adjustment period for the new saint. Ephna wonders if it could be true. Is Lillian the saint? Lillian turns to Ephna and says she is surprised that Ephna did not know she was chosen as the new saint. It is such an honor. Ephna congratulates her, but her mind is in chaos. If Lillian is the saint, then in the original story Ephna tried to kill her half-sister. She needs to sort this out. Haldness asks Lillian to step aside and grabs Ephna, demanding to know if she understands how much trouble he was in after she disappeared. Ephna tells him to let go, but he insists that she is being irresponsibly reckless. She coldly replies that this is harassment. Does he want to stand trial in the noble court? He scoffs. He is her fiancé. Does she really think that counts as harassment? A voice interrupts, saying that it does. North steps forward and pulls Haldness' hand away from her. He adds that it counts even more since he and Ephna have already broken up. The Marquis, refreshed after napping through the noble council, now flaunts his strength openly. Haldness demands to know why His Majesty is here. North replies that although the saint should be busiest at this time, she seems rather free. Is the temple running things so poorly? Lillian politely asks him to forgive her rudeness. They only acted that way because they were reunited with their precious sister. The word precious makes North scoff. He states that Ephna is a precious existence to him as well. Ephna is stunned. She cannot believe that a guardian truly treasures her. North continues, saying that just to see her, he had to beg and stumble about like crazy. Haldnes argues that he had business with Ephna first, and that he will be taking her with him. North tells him to make his case loud and clear. Ephna trembles slightly and says that she is with North. "What was that?" North asks, leaning closer. Her voice is too soft. He cannot hear it. Haldnes glares but eventually mutters, "Never mind." North smiles, satisfied, and says that since nothing is wrong, they should be off. They have an important prior engagement. Ephna blinks. Engagement? North asks if she has already forgotten what they promised to do together. She tries to remember, then suddenly recalls the home visit. He says he cannot believe she actually forgot. She insists that she really should be going back now. North glances at the sky. The sun is still high and bright. Why must she leave so soon? Internally, she wonders if he expects her to waste more of her precious weekend daylight. He gives her a look with puppy-like eyes and asks if she really has to go. Looking at him like that, she sighs and says no. She is truly delighted to keep their appointment. North chuckles, saying that judging from her laugh, she seems very delighted. She replies, "Of course, absolutely." Behind them, Haldnes shouts that if she insists on acting this way, he will tell Count Wind Easter. Ephna replies calmly that he can go ahead and tell her father. He may run along and complain to the Count. Does he really think her father will help bail out his ruined business? With that, she turns away and thanks North. As they walk, she congratulates Lillian once more on becoming the saint and sincerely wishes her blessings, especially for Haldnes. He looks like he needs them more. North comments that the atmosphere here is unbearable and suggests they head to the greenhouse. Ephna remarks that he seems more delicate than he looks. As they leave, Lillian watches them go, wondering how Ephna dares to treat her this way and thinks she can get away with it. They sit together when North asks Ephna if she likes the place. She looks around and replies that, yes, it is really beautiful. He casually mentions that people say if lovers come here, their love lasts a lifetime. She laughs at that and thanks him for helping her earlier. He asks whether it was inconvenient when the field trip location was suddenly changed. She replies that, of course, it was inconvenient. She even had to work overtime. However, he quickly adds that he is simply grateful she agreed to it willingly. She scoffs and turns to him. If he was going to say that, he should have asked whether she was willing in the first place. She tells him she could not sleep, could not eat, and only worked non-stop. Yet somehow, it was considered an honor for her frail, pitiful body to be worn down like that. North tilts his head and says he cannot tell whether she is fearless or simply has too much courage for her own good. She falls silent when he suddenly says she should take good care of her plum-swollen liver. Finally, she asks if there was another reason he gave up the Imperial Palace for the day. He answers that of course there was, a very important reason. Around this time, 2 years ago, Maxine was nearly assassinated. The carriage he was riding in had been passing through Aquiline Lake Park. She freezes. Lake Park? That was the original field trip location. North asks her what she thinks he must have felt at the time. He must have been furious. Ephna notes that 2 years ago, Maxine was only 3 years old. Even she feels angry just imagining it. How much more must His Majesty have felt? North shrugs and tells her to call him selfish if she likes. He changed the location without notice, and even allows her to hit him if she wants. She can hit his cheeks. She stares at him for a moment, thinking seriously, then asks whether she can hit him with her palm or with her fist. He is utterly taken aback before bursting into laughter. She insists that she was asking seriously, but since she is a pacifist, she will let it go this once. Instead, could she hear more about Maxine? North agrees, still chuckling, wiping at the corner of his eye as if he is tearing up. She wonders what is so funny. He explains that quite a few people do not look kindly upon Maxine. It is not the emperor's son who stands in the prince position, but his younger brother. To nobles who covet the empress seat as a symbol of power, Maxine must seem like an unwelcome presence. Ephna nods thoughtfully. As expected of a first-class kindergarten teacher, she understands immediately. North says she is exactly right. She replies that it must be hard for both His Majesty and Maxine. He studies her and asks whether she feels a little sympathy for him now. She answers bluntly that she only sympathizes with things that are weak and cute by nature. North chuckles and tells her not to take him too lightly. For an emperor tormented day and night by eavesdropping rats, Lending out a corner of the counseling room should be fine, shouldn't it? She raises an eyebrow and asks what he plans to do there. He replies casually that perhaps he will worry about the future of the empire, the stability of its people, or perhaps consider the safety of those rats. She sighs. Talking about rats and political schemes is a rather grim concern for a kindergarten setting. She tells him that if he comes, she will at least serve him a cup of tea, as long as he gets permission from the director. He smiles and says he almost forgot about that promise. The scene shifts. Ephna claps her hands and tells the students to line up properly. No running, just follow along. From now on, they will be visiting the greenhouse. The students erupt in excitement. She thinks to herself that they have only just arrived at the first location, and it already feels like a long journey. Checking for missing children, picking up dropped belongings, glaring so much that her face hurts. She instructs them to form 2 orderly rows before entering. Inside, Marin gasps that it is so pretty. The flowers are huge. There are butterflies too. Ephna smiles and asks whether the plants are not amazing and beautiful. What should they do with these little friends? The students answer proudly that they should not hurt them and should only look with their eyes. She nods approvingly. Correct. Flowers cannot say ouch if someone touches them. If only the children behaved as well as their answers suggest. Marin ends up rolling in a muddy patch while playing. Maxine falls into a pond while arguing with Marin. Ban eats so much chocolate that his mouth turns completely black. Even 1,000 hands would not be enough for this chaos. Marin changes into her spare clothes. Maxine is dried with a fluffy towel. Ban's mouth is carefully wiped clean. Finally, Ephna sits down and sighs that it is lunchtime. Once she finishes supervising their meal, she will grab a quick bite herself. Suddenly, someone calls out to her. It is Maxine. She asks him what is wrong. He says that Marin is gone. She told him she was going to get water from her bag, but she never came back. He cannot see her anywhere. Ephna feels her heart drop. Viscount Chupin is working when Ephna rushes toward him and calls out his name. He looks up in surprise and asks, "Isn't today the field trip?" She grabs his arm and urgently asks if they can get help from the Imperial Knights. A child is missing. Hearing this, his expression turns serious. He immediately assures her that he will contact the Knights right away. Meanwhile, Ephna runs through the greenhouse, calling out Marin's name. She shouts for her to answer. It's her teacher. Where could she have gone in such a short time? There are dangerous plants inside the greenhouse. Suddenly, Ephna spots a small school shoe floating in the pond. Just the sight of it makes her scream, "No, no!" Without hesitation, she jumps into the pond, splashing through the water and calling Marin's name. She is about to dive further in when someone shouts for her to stop and pulls her out. It is Jon. She struggles and tells him to let her go. Jon firmly calls her name and tells her to get a hold of herself. He points toward the pond and asks her to look carefully. Ephna blinks and finally sees it properly. It is not a shoe. It is only a leaf. Her breath catches. As if it were not bad enough, she is even losing her senses. Without properly checking, she panicked and jumped in. She drops to her knees and apologizes sincerely. She should have been more attentive. She will take full responsibility and make sure Marin returns home safely. Jon looks at her steadily and tells her they will search together. He adds, though he knows it may sound impolite, that just now she looked like a child left unattended at the water's edge herself. She nods stiffly and says she will rely on him. Internally, she thinks that even though he must be more shaken than anyone else, he appears calm. She needs to snap out of it. There is no time to panic. Suddenly, a strange smell fills the air. Before she can react, a giant plant lashes out and wraps around her, lifting her into the air. Just in time, Jon slashes the plant with his blade, cutting it down and pulling her free. He mutters that this is exactly why he hates the Imperial Palace. It is crawling with all sorts of dangerous bugs. Then a cheerful voice calls out, "Marin." She waves from nearby and says that this is super fun. Ephna turns in shock and sees Marin sitting on top of the very same plant. She shouts Marin's name in alarm. Jon steps forward and calmly tells Ephna that it is all right. He will handle this. Ephna quickly explains that the plant is a parasitic species called Kelphida. It feeds on divine power. The stronger a person's divine power, the worse the compatibility. That is why it lured Marin so easily. In the original story, these plants were not supposed to appear until midway through the main plot. She never imagined they would target Marin this early. She urgently tells Jon that those creatures prey on people's weaknesses. Someone like him, with strong divine power, is even more vulnerable. The chances of him being deceived are higher than Marin's. Meanwhile, Marin continues laughing and playing with the plant as if it were a toy. Jon stares at it for a moment. Then he quietly turns away. With one clean motion, he slashes through the plant, cutting it down effortlessly. Before stepping forward again, he glances back at Ephna and asks, almost lightly, if he ends up being taken down disgracefully, will she run away? He tells her not to look back. Her eyes widen. She shouts, "No, don't go." But he moves forward anyway. Jon goes and slashes off one pile from the plant. At that very moment, Marin is thinking of the plant as her mother and asks it to swing her even higher. Just as Jon cuts away another part of the vine, Marin imagines that she is flying high in the sky. Ephna reacts immediately. Before she even has time to think or offer thanks, her body moves on its own. She leaps forward and jumps to protect Marin. A power she has never felt before flows through her body as naturally as a child taking their very first steps. The strength surges effortlessly, without resistance. She asks Marin if she is all right, and Marin replies without hesitation that she is fine. Ephna realizes that she may possess the talent of a windaster. Marin later tells the teacher that she was with her mother, flying high in the sky, and just as she drifted into sleep, she fell asleep completely. It must have been the effect of interference from divine power, ending precisely at that moment. Jon comes from behind and asks if she is all right. However, he notices that she is crying. She immediately wipes away her tears and apologizes, claiming that the tension has finally left her, and wondering how foolish she must look, as if she had done anything worthy of such emotion. Seeing her tears, Jon simply stands there quietly. After a while, he points out that she seems to have hurt her arm and asks to examine it. Ephna insists that she is fine and worries more about Jon than herself. He reassures her that he is unharmed and tells her to look at his stomach. Once, he had been deeply cut by a sword, yet he treated himself immediately and managed to survive. He explains that if his treatment proves effective, she may strike him afterward if she wishes, but for now she must show him her wound so that he can hold it steady. Ephna agrees and gives her hand to him. As he begins to heal her, he recalls how she had just leaped a great distance in a single bound to catch Marin. He wonders whether she truly possesses the talent of a windaster. Ephna notes that her hand has healed well and concludes that there is no need to strike him after all. Just then, someone calls out for Marin. It is the High Priest, and he expresses relief upon seeing that she is safe. Marin opens her eyes and calls out for her father. Jon carries Marin to the High Priest and assures him that she is perfectly fine, urging him not to kneel in such a mess. The High Priest scolds Marin for being a rascal, reminding her that he had told her to stay close to her teacher. Marin explains that her mother had called her, invited her to eat cookies, and even swung with her. She had been incredibly happy. The High Priest embraces her tightly, tears streaming down his face. Meanwhile, Jon helps Ephna to her feet. He admits that when his own mother passed away, he could do nothing but watch her leave. The memory explains why he had appeared so startled earlier. The High Priest then begins to scold Ephna, criticizing the palace for allowing a monster beast to roam inside the walls and calling it ignorance. Ephna thinks that his temper resembles that of the sun. The High Priest resolves that he must request a private audience with His Majesty to understand how such a creature slipped through the palace defenses. He expresses gratitude to the teacher for keeping the child safe. Ephna notices that her clothes and hair have dried instantly. Divine power truly is astonishing. The High Priest apologizes for the late introduction and explains that he is Marin's parent and guardian. Ephna greets him properly, introducing herself as Marin's homeroom teacher. She expresses both gratitude and apology. The High Priest assures her that she need not blame herself, as the lure of a Kelpida is not something anyone can prevent. He insists that they are the ones who owe her a great debt, and promises that from now on, if anything concerns the kindergarten or teacher Ephna, he will agree to any request. Just as Ephna is about to say something further, Jon arrives and signals for her to remain silent. She complies. If that is the case, then with what she has read in the past side story about the saint, she might be able to obtain some help. Jon questions why she is smiling in such a way, and she replies that it is nothing. It is the slight, restrained smile of a romance heroine, one that can never be shown outright. The High Priest announces that he will take the child and head back. Ephna bids him a safe return home. Jon also states that he should leave. He tells her that if she feels even the slightest pain, she must visit the hospital. She reminds him of it firmly and thanks him for today. After he departs, she feels that at least she can breathe for now. She decides that she should return to the children soon. Suddenly, someone calls out to her once again. She wonders why someone is addressing her by her surname. To her surprise, she turns and sees a mysterious figure, someone she may not be very happy to encounter. It is her brother. He states that it is truly her, just as Holdness had claimed, and questions what right she has to show up here. She calmly responds that it has been a long time since they last met, but clarifies one thing: she has always been here. He did not find her. He is the one who appeared. Her words seem to sadden him. He remarks that she has grown bold since the last time he saw her, which makes her wonder if he intends to hit her again. Suddenly, he grabs her by her clothes and demands to know whether she has lost her mind. Just as he is about to strike her, a sword is drawn. A voice remarks that perhaps it is because they are in a greenhouse, but there certainly are many pests around. It is Jon. Her brother questions what brings Jon here, and, more importantly, what on earth is happening. Jon replies simply that he came to get rid of pests, and that it appears one is clinging to Ephna. He asks her for permission to crush it on her behalf. Before anything further can occur, her brother immediately pulls back and stumbles to the ground. Jon then turns to Ephna and asks whether she is heading back. She answers yes, explaining that she still needs to escort the children. Jon states that in that case he will escort her. He extends his hand toward her, and she smiles, saying that she will not refuse. He again asks if she is returning, and she confirms that she still needs to escort the children. Once more, he offers to escort her, giving his hand, and she smiles, accepting it and thanking him. The scene shifts. Later, Ephna stands in the market, wondering what she could use instead of felt cloth. Suddenly, she hears someone shouting that they have already told him to get lost. She wonders if a fight has broken out. As she looks closer, she realizes it is Kaden. She is puzzled as to why the Duke would be here, and she cannot hear clearly what is being said. The shopkeeper is shouting at Kaden, insisting repeatedly that his business is clean and that they do not engage in activities such as slave trading. Just hearing the words slave trading leaves her utterly shocked. Kaden states that he is only there to purchase a gift for his wife and complains that the man must be deaf if he cannot understand. The shopkeeper continues shouting that he will not believe it unless Kaden appears with his wife. He then points behind him and questions whether the woman standing there is supposed to be his wife. Ephna realizes that she has been dragged into the situation and awkwardly greets them. Before she can explain anything, Kaden immediately pulls her close and declares that she is indeed his wife. The shopkeeper scoffs, saying it is absurd. He points out that Kaden is dressed neatly while his supposed wife is wearing shabby clothes. Ephna feels anger rising within her, but she cannot argue back. Even the Duke appears momentarily at a loss for words. However, Kaden remarks that not only does the man ogle another man's wife in front of him, but he also dares to speak so crudely. Kaden turns to Ephna and claims he is hurt, stating that the dress she is wearing was bought for her by her father. She immediately supports the lie, saying that her father dragged his sick body out just to purchase it for her. Seeing their apparent emotional story, the shopkeeper begins to falter, saying that he did not mean it that way. Kaden then asks Ephna if he should simply shoot the man. She quickly responds, calling him honey, and saying that such action would be too much. At that moment, another man approaches and shouts for them to stop standing around, because it is a raid. The first man panics, realizing they are in trouble and must run. Just as he attempts to flee, Kaden remarks that it seems they will have to relocate again. He then turns to Ephna and asks whether she is all right. She apologizes, admitting that she was merely curious and kept watching. However, she asks him directly whether they were truly selling slaves. Kaden replies that he cannot disclose that information. She responds that if it is merely classified information, she is good at keeping secrets. Kaden points out that when something is confidential, she would usually pretend not to know. He then admits that what she heard is true slave trading has been occurring in secret. The revelation makes her furious. He continues, explaining that they are not only trading slaves, but also using Mayu stones as currency. These stones are minerals from the Duke's land, used in magic engineering. Leaning closer, he asks whether it feels more like a secret now. Before rumors spread that he is funding slave traders, he intends to crush them himself. Ephna agrees that if his minerals are being used, he must eliminate those responsible. However, she cannot help but question what he truly means by, quote, eliminate. Seeing him smile in that manner unsettles her. She turns away, admitting that the matter is likely too large for her to fully understand. Kaden states that he merely answered her question. She internally concedes that he is right, yet curses her own nosy curiosity, fearing that it may one day bring her trouble. He looks at her and smiles, commenting that she is an interesting type. She immediately asks what he just said. He replies that it was nothing at all, and casually addresses her as teacher. That day, Ephna is seen shouting at a child's mother, asking her not to push the carriage in front of the gate. The road to the school is far noisier than usual. As she looks around, she notices that Nod is also present to drop off Max, which makes her wonder whether the Emperor is truly so idle. After all, this is the long-awaited meeting. She asks the parents and students to form a proper line. Today is the day to decide the roles for the school play. She announces that they will now begin the casting for the first semester's performance. Everyone begins clapping. For the children, it is a moment of pure excitement. For the adults, however, it is nothing short of a war fought for the pride of the nobles. Ephna explains that their kindergarten has a slightly unique method of assigning roles. First, they decide on a theme. Then, the children prepare presentations. Through voting, the one who receives the most votes earns the lead role. She then announces this year's theme, My Favorite Thing. In 5 days, the children will present based on this theme. One noble lady remarks that this topic had already appeared in Mom's salon prediction. Another questions whether that is truly possible, to which the first replies that Mom possesses a great deal of golden information. Ephna internally reflects that people are the same everywhere. Originally, there had been heavy opposition to school plays. The nobles had protested, asking how their children could possibly sing and dance. However, it became known that the child who played the lead role often went on to become student council president after entering the academy. As a result, the event has turned into a fierce battleground, closely connected to entrance examinations. Ephna announces that class must now begin. She asks the parents to head home and the children to return to their classrooms. Immediately, the noble ladies rush off, one frantically trying to recall her child's favorite doll, while another insists that Melissa must secure the lead role no matter what. 3 hours are spent preparing a mere 3-minute presentation. After the theme announcement, only 5 days remain until the performance. Elsewhere, Ben tells Kaden that he does not want to participate because the lead role seems frightening. Kaden pats him gently and asks whether he would do it in exchange for 20 chocolate snacks. The mere mention of 20 chocolates instantly convinces Ben, who declares that he will do it. On another side, Jon remarks that if Marin becomes the lead, she will undoubtedly look like a princess. Nott responds that his sister is not royalty, so she cannot be a princess, perhaps a crown princess-in-law instead. Jon coughs at the suggestion, finding it absurd. Marin possesses far too much talent and potential to be reduced to merely a crown princess-in-law. Nott insists that this is precisely why her family should be educated as one worthy of becoming a crown princess. Ephna observes them and reminds them that she had already told them to leave. The children need to attend class, so the adults must depart. As Kaden continues persuading Ben with promises of 20 chocolates, Ephna turns to the student and asks whether they should head to class. Ben excitedly repeats that his big brother promised him 20 chocolates. She congratulates him, though internally she thinks that the road ahead will be long. Later that night, Ephna contemplates what kind of costume would suit the play. She wishes to acquire something better than their usual supplier provides. She calls out to a shopkeeper, announcing that she has come to browse children's clothing. However, her mouth falls open in shock at the sight before her. Inside the shop, a woman slaps another woman across the face. She demands to know who dared to claim that her child could not win the lead role and orders her to repeat it. Ephna immediately recognizes them as parents from her class and grows anxious. The women argue fiercely. One accuses the other of lacking proper upbringing and culture, claiming it is no wonder her child is hopeless. The other erupts in anger, demanding to know who she thinks she is to judge her daughter's worth. The first challenges her again, questioning whether she is truly wrong. As the woman raises her hand to strike again, Ephna steps between them and receives the slap herself. She collapses to the ground. When she regains consciousness, the noble ladies realize who she is and panic. They anxiously ask whether she is all right. Ephna assures them that she is perfectly fine, though her nose is bleeding. She then asks whether either of them has been hurt. One noble lady points out the blood on Ephna's face, but Ephna insists she is unharmed. She calmly states that for a joyous school play to turn into a reckless battlefield of competition is unacceptable. If matters continue this way, they may need to consider canceling the event. Both women cry out in protest, calling her teacher. One insists that her son must become student council president. Ephna addresses them firmly and asks whether they intend to continue fighting. The two women hurriedly embrace one another, claiming they will not fight again and that they regret their actions. Ephna nods approvingly. Since it is an event that children eagerly anticipate, it must not be cancelled because of incidents like this. The noble lady quickly agrees. Ephna praises them and announces that she will take her leave. She reminds them to continue getting along. As she walks away, she finally understands why children behave so well after returning from kindergarten. Outside, she feels utterly drained. Dealing with even one parent is exhausting, yet she has handled so many today. All she wants is to return home and rest. However, she must absolutely find a new supplier. Suddenly, she notices a familiar building, a narrow place she recognizes. It is the same location where she once shouted, "Honey," at Duke Kaden. She had heard that it was involved in slave trading. She wonders whether the crackdown has ended and why the establishment appears open again. Then she hears it. A faint sound of crying and sobbing. A small voice calls out for its mother. It is unmistakably the voice of a child. Her heart tightens. It cannot be. Yet as she steps inside the room, the sound grows clearer. Ephna enters the room and thinks about what this could possibly be. She is certain that she heard a child's voice, yet the only thing present is a staircase leading downward. She considers that she should probably call someone else, but it might be a situation where every second counts, so she decides that she has to go herself. As she moves forward, she notices something between the rocks embedded in the wall. It is a paper. She wonders what it could be. All of a sudden, almost as if it is tempting her to read it, she feels compelled to pick it up. Finally, she reads it, and her eyes widen because it bears the temple's insignia, and there is even some kind of shabby-looking magic circle drawn upon it. She decides that she had better take it, just in case. She finally descends the staircase and calls out, asking if someone is there. The stench of blood reaches her nose, and she is literally taken aback as she notices the cuffs hanging from the ceiling. She cannot believe the situation unfolding before her eyes. Just then, she realizes that someone else is present there as well. Ephna knows that she should run, yet it feels as though something is gripping her ankle, binding her in place. Her body becomes unable to move when a man whispers something. "It is Jon." He remarks how judicious it is. Just as he is about to smoke his cigar, he locks eyes with Ephna. He is visibly taken aback, and Ephna is equally startled. He calls out to her, expressing that he did not expect to see her in this place. She responds that neither did she. Jon tells her that this place is dangerous and insists that he should help her leave. He also observes that she does not look well. Just as he reaches toward her, she smacks his hand away. Jon looks at her for a while when she blurts out that she was merely wandering around the dressing room area. She explains that she did not want dust to get on her and be disrespectful, so she apologizes, admitting that she has already been more disrespectful than she intended. Poor Ephna is literally spiraling internally because he remains silent. Finally, he calls out to her and points out that there are dangerous things in this place, explaining that it used to be a site where slaves were bought and sold. Ephna states that she knows, and that she simply wanted to see whether such a vile place had truly been destroyed properly. Jon assures her that it has, claiming that he cleaned it all himself. She remarks that no wonder Marin is so passionate about cleaning the classroom, as he must have learned well from him. Jon clarifies that what he claimed was that people should not trust so easily. Ephna counters that if he cleaned up those wicked slavers, then he is the one who turned this place into ruins. As she watches him smile in response, she internally begs him not to smile so prettily while speaking of such matters, because it feels frightening. Jon then mentions that he was recently advised while choosing a gift for Marin, and he has been wondering what her most favorite thing might be. Ephna cannot believe that he is attempting to change the subject. He then brings out an item and asks her to take a look at it. It is a music box. Ephna thinks that it is absolutely lovely and feels certain that Marin will love it dearly. Jon expresses that he hopes so as well. Suddenly, someone arrives from behind and calls out to Jon, informing him that they have found the escape route used by the runaway slave traders. Jon asks his subordinate where it is. The man whispers that it appears to be related to the temple. Ephna tries to overhear what they are saying, but she is unable to catch their words. Jon instructs his man to set the matter aside for now and to finish the search of the school. He then turns to Ephna and asks whether they should move elsewhere. She replies that she is sorry and admits that she must have been talking too much in a place meant for work at night. She says that she has been a bother and will take her leave. Jon asks her if it is all right with her, whether she would. Then she turns back and asks what he means. Jon gazes at her for a while before dismissing his unfinished thought. He simply requests that she return home safely. After she leaves, he continues staring at her for a moment. Then he notices a paper lying on the floor. He picks it up and scoffs, remarking that the temple rarely fails to keep him guessing. Time passes anxiously, and at last the awaited day arrives. It marks the 7th day of Ephna's overtime, and she feels relieved that it has finally come. She plans to do her best once again this year. Marin looks back and announces that the teacher is here. Ephna greets everyone and asks whether they are ready, while the parents are practically blazing with excitement. She then declares that they should now begin the casting for this year's school festival play. One of the children declares that what he loves the most is his mother's handkerchief, the very one that has been wiping his face since he was a baby. His mother immediately cries out that he is her proud little boy. The child adds that he always carries it with him and thinks of his mother whenever he sees it. Ephna gently calls out to Philip Weldon and then invites the next student to step forward. The next child proudly announces that he has brought an apple that he grew himself. He explains that when the world ends, he plans to plant this apple tree so that life may begin again. Ephna thinks that the sentiment sounds strangely familiar, yet she smiles warmly and tells him that it is a wonderful and excellent presentation. She feels relieved that the children are pure and kind-hearted. They do not belittle or envy one another's presentations. Instead, they genuinely enjoy listening. Though they are only 5 years old and could easily lose focus, they are listening intently to their friends, feeling proud of one another. Finally, it is Ben's turn. Ephna reflects that even His Highness seemed to wish for Ben to become the main character. Ben reaches into his pocket and brings out a piece of chocolate, which is already half-eaten. Ephna wonders whether this is truly the best he could prepare. The other classmates immediately call out that they want some as well. The scene resembles someone handing out hamburgers during a class president election. Ephna quickly restores order, instructing everyone to return to their seats and calling for the next student, Miss Maxine. She asks Ben how his presentation concludes. He boldly declares that what he loves the most is the citizens of their beloved empire. Ephna thinks that it is indeed a model answer befitting a prince, though she cannot help but notice that he is delivering it with chocolate smeared around his mouth. At last, Marin calls out that she wishes to present as well. Ephna acknowledges that it is indeed her turn. She recalls that the Knight Commander, Jon, had purchased a music box, and it was so beautiful that she momentarily wonders whether Marin might bring it out. However, Marin announces that what she loves the most is their pretty teacher. She runs forward and hugs Ephna tightly, catching even Ephna off guard. The other students immediately protest that it is unfair because they also love their teacher the most and wish to change their answers. Poor Ephna feels both touched and flustered, thinking that at this rate her skirt might come off from all the enthusiastic hugging. After a brief discussion, the children conduct a secret vote to determine the protagonist of the play. Meanwhile, the noble parents silently pray that their own child will be chosen. Ephna announces that the counting is finished and that the child who will be this year's protagonist is Ben. She asks everyone to congratulate him. Suddenly, Philip bursts into tears, insisting that he should have been the main character because he gave the best presentation. Ephna approaches Philip and gently explains that in a play, it is not only the protagonist who shines. Every role can sparkle and be wonderful. However, he continues to protest, declaring that even a villain can possess a presence rivaling that of the protagonist. At that moment, Ben tells Philip that he may take the main role because Ben does not wish to be the protagonist, as it feels frightening. Ephna turns to Ben and asks whether he truly does not want the role. He confirms that he does not. She reflects that not a single child has ever voluntarily given up the lead role before. She tells Philip that he should thank Ben. Then she announces that, thanks to Ben's kindness in stepping aside, Philip will become the protagonist. She proceeds to ask whether they should now assign the remaining roles. No matter what happens, Ben seems destined to walk the path of a villain, yet seeing him behave like a gentleman today fills her with immense happiness. She resolves that she, too, must work hard so that she does not fall behind. However, moments later, she finds herself in a terrible condition, feeling as though she might faint. She instructs the children to draw a line on the floor and imagine it as a narrow log bridge suspended above deep, flowing water. The exercise is meant to be a simple warm-up game to observe their acting skills and personalities as they cross from one side to the other. Yet Marin and Maxine are already tugging at one another, each insisting that she is not, a slowpoke and hurling childish insults back and forth. Poor Ephna struggles to separate them, thinking that managing unpredictable 5-year-olds feels like enduring a harsh and relentless training schedule. Suddenly, someone begins to chuckle softly. Ephna stiffens and wonders who it could be this time. It is a pretty little girl from the Sunshine class. She approaches Ben and remarks that they have finally met. She boldly states that she intends to take revenge for losing the protagonist vote. Ben calmly responds that he only wishes to pass through. Ephna begins to worry that the children might end up fighting again. She quickly calls Ben's attention and pretends to hold out chocolate, the very treat he loves so much. When Ben insists that there is nothing there, she dramatically claims that it is special chocolate visible only to good children. She teasingly questions whether it could be that Ben is a bad child. She then asks whether he will accept it and yield the path to her. Ephna realizes that the girl is deliberately testing him. As Ben carefully walks along the white line, he suddenly trips and falls. The girl continues forward without sparing him a glance. Poor Ben cries out that he has fallen into the water. Ephna rushes to him immediately, assuring him that she will save him at once. Meanwhile, someone quietly mutters that at this rate, how could anyone not worry about the Empire's future? Ephna quickly protests that children of this age naturally fall often, and that it is simply part of the normal growth process. Then, as the realization strikes her, she abruptly turns around and demands to know why he is here. She goes and drags him out of the class, demanding to know what brings him to the kindergarten. He replies that she possesses impressive arm strength and wonders aloud whether she has ever considered joining the Emperor's Direct Night Order. She apologizes for her rudeness, explaining that if a guardian suddenly visits, the children might be startled. It is none other than His Majesty himself, and she cautiously asks whether something has happened to Maxine by any chance. He responds that nothing has occurred and questions why she would assume so. In truth, he is worried about the Empire's future and thinks that he needs to cool his head in order to work properly. He asks whether she would serve him a cup of tea. Ephna questions why he is contemplating the Empire's future at a kindergarten, and she suddenly remembers that she once spoke with him about that counseling matter. The discussion about the little rat had been rather harsh contemplation for a place meant for children. She tells him that she is sorry, but she must first obtain permission from the principal. However, he has already received it, and the principal was quite agreeable. She agrees that they should meet in the counseling room once the children finish practice. Finally, she enters the counseling room and sees the desserts laid out on the table. It is a dessert set from Shamsun Salon, something that is difficult to purchase even after waiting in long lines. He remarks that he does not truly like sweet things, so she may have all of them. She immediately tells him to please visit often in the future. He responds affirmatively and asks her to speak comfortably and listen, but to his surprise, she is already seated and planning to devote herself entirely to the sweets. He questions whether this is truly acceptable, considering they might be caught being together privately at the kindergarten, adding that he is willing to cooperate with any scandal that might arise. She looks at him for a moment and points out that the principal has given permission and that all the other teachers have already gone home. That unfortunate reality makes it rather meaningless to worry. He then questions whether she has considered replacing the uncomfortable chair. She replies that there is a spare chair in the staff room and asks whether she should bring it. He dismisses the idea, explaining that he came to look around a place he will be visiting often. Those words leave her literally taken aback. He explains that an emperor carries countless worries upon his shoulders, and his head will not cool down with only 1 or 2 visits. He leans toward her and asks her to take good care of him in the future, calling her teacher. She remarks that it would not be right to ask the principal to make him leave now, which leaves him momentarily saddened, though he admits that she jokes well. Later that day, Ephna collapses. At first, she is informed that there are typos throughout all the school festival invitations. Then the uniform workshop announces that they cannot meet the deadline. Even worse, there is an error in the sequence of the planning document. She wonders whether she should simply collapse from mental and physical exhaustion. She longs to rest in an entirely legal and worker-protective manner, yet she knows that if she gives up now, the school festival will truly be ruined. Instead of going to the hospital, she instructs them to contact the printing office, file a complaint regarding the typos, and demand immediate reprinting. For the costumes, she decides to find another workshop capable of meeting the deadline and to place a new order, even if the design differs. She has already compiled a list of several workshops and resolves to review the planning document personally and correct the schedule, asking them to show it to her first. While she manages all this work, people remark that she is truly remarkable and worthy of respect as the founding member and board representative of the kindergarten. Others declare that they must not yield to overwork and must press forward toward the school festival. Even if their bodies break, they will do their best. She shouts at everyone to work hard for the festival, and time continues to flow despite the string of misfortunes. At last, the long-awaited day arrives. Someone calls out to Ephna, informing her that the loudspeaker setup is complete and asking whether she is ready. She replies that she is ready and steps before the podium, thanking everyone for their patience. She announces that the lights will soon go out and the hall will grow dark, urging everyone to watch their steps and move in an orderly manner. A noble lady asks the painter to draw her child beautifully once they come out, and the artist remarks that he has covered this kindergarten school festival 4 times already. The grandest event of the kindergarten's first half of the year, the stage where the faculty members exhaust themselves with blood, sweat, and tears, finally begins. Just as she announces the start of the festival, someone opens the door. It is not a single person, but an entire army of knights, making her wonder why knights from the Grand Temple are present. She asks them to wait, reminding them that this is a kindergarten, and questioning why armed soldiers have entered. They all point their spears at her, declaring that they have received an important tip that she is a dark mage and that she must accompany them. She stares at them in disbelief, wondering what they even mean. One knight explains that they belong to the Saints' Direct Knight Order, while the nobles murmur in confusion about what is happening. Ephna shouts that she knows nothing about such accusations and demands to know what they are doing. She insists that the situation is absurd. However, they inform her that the saint personally identified her and that she must comply with detention and investigation. She continues to shout that she is not some kind of dark magician, but the knight coldly replies that she can explain that directly to the saint and that they should proceed. The nobles murmur among themselves in confusion, questioning what they have just heard and what is truly happening. Ephna insists that if the children see her being dragged away like this, they will be frightened, so she declares that she will walk on her own. The knight responds that this does not concern them, asking who is to say she will not attempt to escape. Behind the curtain, Marin witnesses the entire scene. Marin turns to Maxine, reminding him that he is the prince, and pleading with him to help their teacher. Maxine hesitates and replies that the knights are from the temple, implying that the situation is beyond his authority. Marin cries out that her father has gone far away to heal people, while Maxine adds that his elder brother is also busy. All of them turn toward Ben, who looks back and calls out to his elder brother, asking what they should do about their teacher. At that moment, Kaden visibly twitches at the unfolding situation. The scene shifts to Ephna, now seated on a chair inside a cold prison cell. Someone approaches, questioning what she has done. It is Lillian. She complains to the knights that they could have at least cleaned the place properly, remarking that the filth is irritating. The knight immediately assures her that they will rectify it at once. Lillian calls out to Ephna, observing that it seems she has had a difficult journey. Ephna responds that they should get straight to the point. She confronts Lillian, asking whether she truly claimed that she is a dark magician, and even if that were true, how dare she drag a noble in such a humiliating manner? Notably, she does not appear frightened at all. Lillian replies that she came out of genuine concern for her sister, mockingly questioning what Ephna means by calling herself a noble, as if someone like her could ever be considered a true Windister. She boasts that she discovered another talent a few days ago, and their father was very pleased. She then points out that Ephna still possesses no talent at all, calling her pitiful. Internally, Ephna thinks that she had defeated a monster not long ago, but realizes that mentioning it now would do her no good. What matters most is the present accusation. She asks Lillian to think carefully, suggesting that perhaps she is mistaken about labeling her a dark magician. She reminds her that she has always been prone to misunderstandings while acting as though she is the real daughter of their family. She wonders whether this remark will provoke Lillian. Lillian demands to know what she just said. Ephna calmly asks whether Lillian has ever been entered into their mother's family register, telling her not to deny that she had long desired it but never achieved it. This statement infuriates Lillian. She shouts in outrage but then composes herself, gripping her own hand tightly. She thanks Ephna sarcastically, declaring that she is as arrogant as ever. Now, without any guilt, she can interrogate her thoroughly about being a dark magician. Ephna wonders what nonsense Lillian is grinding on about and challenges her to search her belongings, insisting that she will not find even a speck of incriminating dust. Lillian then produces a piece of paper and asks whether Ephna remembers it. Ephna recognizes it immediately as the paper she found in the slave room. She asks Lillian where she obtained it. Lillian calmly replies that she was the one who placed it there, and that she would immediately know if a dark magician touched it. Ephna argues that the paper was already like that before she touched it, but Lillian counters that she created it herself, and that it reacted the very moment Ephna came into contact with it. Internally, Ephna wonders what absurd fabrication Lillian is even describing. Lillian continues, stating that the paper was found among Ephna's belongings. It is written in a strange, unreadable language, and on the last page there is even an ancient dark magic symbol. Ephna suddenly realizes that the paper is from the side story she found by chance. She remembers that the author had written a note explaining that many readers were curious about the dark magic symbol, so the author attempted to draw it personally, admitting that it turned out rather clumsy. Internally, Ephna shouts in frustration at the author's carelessness. Meanwhile, Lillian observes that even her arrogant sister seems speechless now that the evidence has been revealed. No one informs her that Ephna is actually stunned and furious at the foolishness of the situation. Lillian turns to the knights and instructs them to interrogate the dark magician until she confesses, urging them to be thorough and do their utmost. Poor Ephna silently reflects that Lillian has completely wrapped these knights around her fingers. The knights command Ephna to confess obediently. She glances at the ropes nearby and wonders whether those are interrogation tools. If things go wrong, she may truly die. A shudder runs through her as she contemplates whether she should simply confess. Enduring torture without speaking may suit a heroic protagonist in a story, but reality is different. She recalls the times when others began to appreciate her, praising the kindergarten for receiving the highest evaluation, and how the children used to call out to her, declaring that she is the best. Returning to the present, she utters only the word confess, which prompts the knight to demand that she say it properly with her own mouth. She scoffs at them, declaring that she would never do so and that they may do whatever they wish, insulting them as worthless knights. This marks the beginning of the torture. After some time, Lillian returns and asks whether she feels more inclined to confess now. Ephna calls out to Lillian, telling her to stop spouting stupidity. Lillian turns to the knights and remarks that it seems the punishment has not been sufficient, instructing them to continue. Just as the torture is about to resume, Kaden arrives with a thunderous blast of gunfire, shattering the suffocating tension within the chamber. Lillian runs toward him in alarm, demanding to know what is going on. The sudden gunshot has clearly startled her. She turns to Kaden, claiming that she is frightened and that her body is trembling. Carter looks down at her as she gazes up at him with wide, pleading eyes. She calls out to him, accusing him of breaking down the door and barging in without offering any explanation or clarification, even if he is a duke. Just as she reaches out toward him, he sharply smacks her hand away and coldly instructs her to address him as Your Grace. The reprimand visibly shakes Lillian. He states that he has come to perform his duty, just as being a saint is hers. He calls out her name and announces that, during her so-called peace training efforts, traces of illegal magitech usage were discovered. Lillian questions what he is talking about, insisting that she does not understand. He explains that the restraints she used when apprehending Ephna have been confirmed to be illegal magitech counterfeits. Lillian immediately turns to Sir Hylix, who nervously admits that he purchased those restraints because he believed they were authentic. Kaden continues firmly, stating that for this reason, Lillian must accompany them for investigation. Lillian protests loudly, declaring that this is the Grand Temple, and that if he dares take her away, the goddess will be furious. She accuses him of making a grave mistake. He merely scoffs and walks past her toward Ephna. Ephna slowly opens her eyes and asks him why he is here, reminding him that he was supposed to be watching the band performance. Kaden glances at her and then calmly tells Lillian that he does not believe in gods. After unlocking the cuffs, he gently lifts Ephna into his arms and asks whether she is all right. She replies weakly that she feels as though she is going to die, which prompts Kaden to dryly question whether she is asking him to kill that night. She immediately tells him to refrain from making such grim jokes. At that moment, someone calls out to Lillian. It is Jon. He informs her that because she acted solely on suspicion, the High Priest is extremely angry. He advises her to take care of herself until their next meeting, warning that it would be troublesome if she suddenly claimed illness on that day. With that, he turns and walks toward Ephna. Ephna tells Jon that although she looks like a mess, she truly is not a dark mage or anything of that sort. She insists that she is merely a plain citizen who was tortured. The moment he hears the word tortured, his expression hardens. He looks toward Sir Hylix and declares that they will hear the full story later. North suggests that they should first examine the teacher's condition, but Kaden pulls her back sharply and questions whether he looks like a fool who would leave someone in a place where she has been tortured to such an extent. Ephna reassures them that she thinks she is fine. Jon immediately contradicts her, stating that she is clearly not fine and requires healing magic at once. Kaden argues that there is a medic waiting outside the temple. Jon sighs heavily and questions the reliability and experience of an unknown medic. Kaden counters that someone struck by a whip imbued with crude holy power cannot be treated with more holy power. Internally, Ephna cries out in frustration, wishing they would simply apply some ointment and be done with the argument. Finally, one of them remarks that in the time they have spent arguing, she could have already been healed, and urges them to stop the pointless debate. Kaden eventually hands Ephna over to Jon, who begins casting healing magic. Meanwhile, Kaden fixes a sharp gaze on Sir Hylex and points out how filthy the confiscated item feels. Hylex hastily insists that he knows nothing about it, claiming it was simply lying on the ground and that he picked it up. Another man steps forward, declaring that the object is clearly an unregistered weapon. He remarks that he nearly died of boredom waiting, but they have now secured a solid piece of physical evidence. Ephna looks at the glowing object and wonders what it is. The light radiating from it feels even stronger than holy power. She briefly wonders whether she has died and ascended to heaven, and why an idol group appears to be standing before her. One of the knights rushes toward Kaden, chuckling that those men are truly unlucky to be caught by the captain. Kaden sharply orders his subordinates to keep their voices down, reminding them that there is a patient present. At last, Ephna asks who those people are. Jon explains that they are soldiers from the Magitech Control Bureau, under the Duke's command. One of the men studies Hylex closely while Hylex desperately tries to step back, as if attempting to preserve his life. Kaden then turns to Jaden and asks what it is. Jaden responds that the man's face looks familiar and wonders where he has seen him before, perhaps in a bar or a restaurant, but quickly dismisses that thought. After a moment, realization dawns on him. He asks Kaden whether he does not remember, pointing out that this is that very same man. Kaden narrows his eyes slightly and responds that he now sees. While poor Hylex cries, Jaden shouts that he is a deserter. Ephna looks back, wondering what a deserter is, when one of the men suddenly recalls the story. He remembers now, the man who got drunk, beat up his comrades, and then ran away. Jaden agrees and tries to recall the name, muttering that it was Joe, or maybe George, perhaps Jones or Hylex. After a moment, he remembers clearly that yes, it is indeed him. He explains that the higher-ups had been endlessly harassed by this person. They searched for him for 4 days straight without any sleep. And here he is, living well, having crossed mountains and rivers, hiding in the inner sanctuary. He truly is a cunning rat. Kaden chuckles and remarks that Hylex has dragged in nothing but filthy trash. She then turns to Lillian. Hylex, desperate, turns toward her as well and cries out that he has served her with all his heart. However, Lillian calmly tells Kaden to do as he pleases, stating that Sir Hylex's matters have nothing to do with her. As poor Hylex continues shouting, Kaden coldly tells him not to waste his strength and to simply sleep, reminding him that he has plenty to explain later. On the other hand, Ephna asks Jon about the entire situation. Aunt Joan gently explains that he is sorry for the noise and that it must have been disturbing for her. The emergency treatment is finally finished, and he asks her to rest for a while, assuring her that they will handle the rest soon. With that reassurance, she drifts off to sleep, whispering her thanks. Kaden looks back, and Jon meets his gaze. One of the men informs Garden that the carriage is ready, and Garden moves away, saying that they should go. Soon, Ephna opens her eyes and wonders where she is. Jon is helping her lie down on the bed. He explains that he has come to finish healing her deeper wounds and apologizes in advance, warning her that it is going to hurt a little. Ephna softly asks about the school festival, but Jon assures her that it is all right and that she does not have to worry about anything. He promises to do his best to minimize the pain. He adds that if it hurts too much, she should not hold back. She may hit him, curse him, or even bite him if she must. It is all fine. Ephna wonders how she could ever do such a thing to him. Suddenly, the healing process begins. She starts shouting that it hurts, and Jon calmly reassures her that she is all right. He continues the healing, telling her that she will feel better soon and that it is almost over. Through her sobs, she cries about the school festival, saying that she wanted to see it. Jon tells her gently that she can see it once she is fully better. Finally, he declares that it is all over. She screams one last time, and all her wounds are completely healed. Jon asks again whether it hurts anymore. With lingering confusion, she questions where she is and insists that she truly knows nothing about dark magic. She explains that she merely found the book by chance and was curious, so she kept it. Jon looks at her steadily and informs her that the investigation is complete and that she is completely innocent. With tears in her eyes, she asks whether she will be whipped. Jon looks at her for a long moment and assures her that such a thing will never happen again. Ephna begins to cry once more and says that she has memorized the face of the one responsible and that she intends to crush him. This declaration makes Jon laugh softly, and he remarks that she truly is a brave teacher, even offering to help her. She immediately refuses, saying that it is fine and that he should not witness such dirty matters. However, she then suddenly questions where they are. He informs her that she is in his chamber within the inner sanctuary, and that the bed she is lying on is his. At this revelation, she lets out a hysterical shout and jumps off the bed, apologizing profusely for being in his room and insisting that she will leave immediately. Jon firmly refuses, stating that no healer would allow a patient to leave in such a condition. He adds that she must be hungry and that he will bring her something to eat. Ephna then notices his arm, which is covered with numerous wounds. When she looks at it, he casually explains that sometimes stray cats wander into the temple, and he temporarily takes in the injured ones. He assumes he must have been scratched during that process. Ephna immediately responds that the cat must have been in pain to lash out like that. She grows worried about Marin, knowing how much she loves animals. Jon reassures her that she does not need to worry and that he will handle it. Though she continues to argue about Marin, Jon insists that she must rest and promises that he will take care of the cat. With that, he leaves, asking her once again to please rest. Once he is outside, one of his men informs him that they have confirmed evidence proving that St. Million fabricated everything. The man then asks about Helix, wondering whether he should bring him over for interrogation, or, since he is a deserter anyway, simply deal with him. Jon instructs him to leave Helix alone. His subordinate is puzzled and questions why they should leave him be. Jon repeats his order to leave him. The man suggests that if it is merely for appearances, then perhaps they could still. However, before he can finish speaking, Jon sharply commands him to stop. He reminds him that Ephna does not wish to see such ugly things. The next day arrives quietly. Marin is sleeping peacefully, while Ephna lies beside her. For 7 days, she has been on unpaid sick leave from the Grand Temple. Jon enters the room and gently picks up Marin, smiling softly as he remarks that Marin has come to see her teacher again. He reminds the child that she should be resting properly since she is still sick, yet he still carries her carefully in his arms. He apologizes to Ephna as he does so. Throughout these days, Ephna has been receiving Jon's devoted care. Ephna rises slightly and asks him what she told him that morning. He answers that she had said the meat stew was truly delicious. She sighs and clarifies that she did not mean that. Jon comments that this must already be the 100th apology. He insists that it is not her fault, so she does not need to apologize. Ephna responds that since he knows that, why does he keep apologizing? If he continues doing so, Marin will become so embarrassed that she might even get angry. Jon pauses thoughtfully and then says that she should indeed get angry, almost as if he is pleading for it. His reaction catches her off guard, and she cannot help but wonder if that is somehow his preference. Later, Ephna is seen examining a mutual agreement coordination document bearing the Emperor's official seal. Jon points out that she does not need to trouble herself by reading it, but he thought she might be curious about how the imperial family is handling the matter. Ephna expresses sincere gratitude for him sharing something so important with her. However, Jon casually takes the paper back, saying it is not important at all, and that he only worries her health might worsen if she reads such dreary documents. Even so, she can already sense that the relationship between the involved parties is not good. Just then, a maid arrives and informs them that the departure preparations are complete. Jon remarks that he had told them to take their time, but her diligence is the problem. He then turns to Ephna and says that he will step outside while she changes into fresh clothes. When she suggests that she could simply leave wearing the outfit she arrived in, Jon firmly refuses, saying he cannot allow her to go out in such a revealing outfit. With that, he adds that he will call for the carriage. Just as he is about to leave, Ephna calls out to him and thanks him sincerely for taking care of her. Seeing her smile causes him to fall silent for a moment, and he merely congratulates her on her discharge. The scene shifts to a concerned lady looking at Ephna anxiously. She questions whether the Grand Temple even fed their patient properly, pointing out how thin Ephna looks. She insists that they should get her some food first, and adds that she will contact the kindergarten to arrange a few more days off. Ephna reassures her that she has rested enough and truly cannot take any more time off. She admits that the bed was simply too comfortable. Although a 2-week recovery diagnosis would justify it, she knows she must snap out of it and not forget her duty as an educator. Suddenly, her second brother enters the room. Ephna immediately scolds him for not knocking and asks whether he cannot see that she is a patient. He informs her that she has a visitor, the head of the kindergarten. Hearing that her superior has come to see her fills her with worry. She begs her brother to help her, but he teasingly asks what she could possibly have done to deserve such panic. Ephna urges him to stop fussing and simply grab a dress from the wardrobe. The principal presents Ephna with comfortable indoor clothes and tea leaves, said to aid recovery. She reassures Ephna not to worry about the kindergarten and to rest for a few more days. Ephna insists that there was no need to go this far, but the director gently asks her not to refuse, explaining that these gifts are from the kindergarten staff and the Parents Association. After all, Ephna has worked hard, and the ordeal must have been difficult. The director mentions that she heard the situation ultimately turned out to be a mistake by the temple. They even received an official notice from the Grand Temple. This angers her, as she questions how they could threaten children with such sloppy handling of matters. Ephna responds calmly that everyone makes mistakes sometimes, and remarks that the secret to surviving in society is to pretend to be weak and kind. The director comments that Ephna is always so kind. That is precisely why, after a faculty meeting, the kindergarten has decided to suspend volunteer teaching for the temple temporarily. Ephna thinks to herself that the director is the scariest when she smiles like that. Nevertheless, she suggests that they should at least continue sending teaching materials, since many volunteers still cannot read. The director agrees, but only to that limited extent. Soon, someone announces that 2 more visitors have arrived. They explain that as soon as they heard Ephna had returned, they rushed over, worried sick and unable to sleep. One of them even brings tofu, mentioning that on the Eastern continent, it is customary to eat tofu after being released from trouble. They sit down together, reflecting on how Ephna had been taken away. Regarding the Windester family, it is revealed that they have been banned from the Noble Assembly for 3 months. The director asks if this is true, and someone confirms it, stating that they behaved so rudely that no one would invite them to gatherings now. His Majesty himself issued the ban. To think that Ephna was framed, thankfully, the formidable parents have remained firmly on her side. Another adds that the Parents Association has also decided to suspend donations to the temple, at least for the time being. The scene then cuts to North Gaidon, where Jon stands in a room. Ephna peeks from behind a curtain, observing their expressions, and thinking that the 3 of them truly are still bitter about the previous school festival. At last, the curtain rises once more for this year's school festival. The students stand ready to perform. Before the main event, the children present their cheerleading routine. As they perform, the parents watch with pure delight, completely captivated by their enthusiasm. With that, it is finally time to officially begin the festival. The parents are literally going crazy over how adorable the children look. Ephna feels relieved and grateful that the children did not forget the moose performance while she was away, and she wonders how they can possibly look so perfect together. She watches as one of them forgets a small move, and Marin quickly corrects him by demonstrating how he should move his arm properly. Philip encourages the others not to stop and to try again, which makes Ephna pause and wonder whether it will always be like this warmth, this harmony, this shared effort. As she continues observing the performance, En remarks that their future princess shines brightly when she dances, and that she is truly wonderful. Jon responds by saying that she is fit to be an emperor herself. En immediately argues that such a statement is a problem, since the current emperor is still very much alive. However, Jon casually scoffs and remarks that there is no telling when such a change might come, as these things arrive without order or notice. Ephna, hearing this exchange, feels a strange sense of wonder, as though somewhere beyond them, a cold wind is still blowing. Suddenly Ben stumbles. He nearly regains his balance, but then he actually trips and falls onto the floor. Ephna's heart tightens, yet she reminds herself that falling is not the end. What matters most is what the teacher always says, that the important thing is to never give up. True to that lesson, Ben rises again and continues the performance without hesitation. When the performance finally ends, the audience and parents erupt into loud cheers and applause. the children perform their ending fairy gesture with bright smiles. CFNM steps onto the stage and asks the audience how they found their children's very first stage performance, expressing that she personally thought it was truly lovely. The crowd enthusiastically shouts their approval. She then requests that everyone take their seats again, reminding them that standing is dangerous. She announces that the choir will be entering next, and politely asks everyone to enjoy the song that the children practiced so diligently. Meanwhile, Garden keeps staring at her. He continues to watch her with a gentle smile, which causes her to blush. She wonders why he is smiling like that, and speculates that perhaps he is simply happy that Ben managed to stand back up. Soon it is finally time for the children's choir, and she sincerely hopes that everyone will enjoy the remainder of the performance. As the play portion unfolds, Philip instructs someone backstage to print more copies before they return, calling the person a rookie. The storyline of the play progresses roughly as follows. The protagonist, Philip, challenges the strongest warrior, Maxine. However, Philip, who is considered the weakest of all, is thoroughly defeated. Later, he consumes the fruit of the sacred tree and raises his stats. After undergoing special training with the spirit Marin, who only behaves smoothly when scolding others, he eventually manages to knock Maxine's sword away. Maxine acknowledges that Philip has grown stronger. In response, Philip explains that he did not grow stronger by his own power alone. He had a great rival like Maxine and received the fruit of the mysterious tree, and thanks to that support he was able to improve. At that moment, someone suddenly calls out to Philip. It is Madden, who begins shouting at him for failing to mention the spirit lady. Ephna steps in and grabs Marin by the collar, stating firmly that a dignified spirit should not seize others by the collar like that. In that instant, with a profound and genuine feeling, she realizes that she has truly returned as the teacher of the Sunshine class. The hectic kindergarten performance finally comes to an end. Later, in the staff room, one teacher wonders aloud whether living as a sparrow would be happiness. Ephna adds that perhaps it would be, since sparrows would not need to go to work and could build their own homes without spending money. Most importantly, they would not need to prepare for the upcoming Children's Day event. Children's Day, just like in many other nations, is also celebrated in the Empire. Ephna reminds everyone that there is nowhere left to run from it, and that they should stop avoiding the inevitable and begin the event preparation meeting. One teacher suggests that they could simply repeat last year's puppet troupe field trip. However, Ephna explains that she has already checked, but the troupe has become so popular through word of mouth that they are currently on a continent-wide tour. She has been searching for other venues they might be able to book. At that moment, the director enters the room, noting that they seem to be in the middle of a meeting. The teachers greet her respectfully. The director reassures them that it is fine and asks everyone to sit comfortably, explaining that she has only come to introduce their new assistant teacher. She calls for the new teacher, Florex, to come in quickly. Ephna thinks to herself that Florex sounds like a man's name, and it is indeed rare to see a male teacher in a kindergarten, which makes the situation feel unusual. The director comments that since he appears strong, they can use him for heavy lifting, and jokingly refers to him as a pack mule. The new kindergarten teacher, however, looks more like a gym enthusiast than an educator. Florex, clearly bewildered, wonders what exactly is going on. Ephna wonders whether he is a farmhand, a lumberjack, or truly a teacher. His physique is far too well built to be dismissed as mere working muscles. All the teachers are practically losing their minds in shock when the director marches over and smacks Florex, demanding to know what he is wearing and why he is carrying an axe. Florex casually replies that he came straight from chopping wood and does not see what the problem is. The director scolds him, telling him to show respect to the other teachers and to apologize. Florex scoffs, complaining that it is blazing hot and he can barely stand the heat. The director turns to Ephna and apologizes for the scene, explaining that Florex is her nephew and is simply a little immature. Ephna politely remarks that he is indeed quite shocking. The director asks her to keep an eye on him, emphasizing that he is strong and clever, so she should not hesitate to put him to work. Honestly, the director believes he will probably be easier to manage than the Sunshine class children. She announces that they should begin with introductions, only to realize that Florex has already disappeared. As the director shouts after him, Ephna tells her that she will go after him. However, she cannot help but wonder how he moves so incredibly fast. She calls out to him, asking if they can talk for a moment. Instead of responding calmly, he mutters about his mother always saying that she is annoying. Just as Ephna nearly trips because of his abrupt movement, he quickly grabs her and prevents her from falling, shouting in frustration and asking whether she is made of paper. Since he barely touched her, and yet she is already stumbling. Ephna shouts back that he shoved her too hard, so of course she would fall, and she questions what kind of unreasonable strength he possesses. In the midst of their awkward closeness, as they both become aware of how near they are to each other, they immediately stumble backward. Florex insists that he was not trying to catch her, and tells her to stop following him. Ephna apologizes but firmly states that she is not tagging along because she wants to. She extends her hand and explains that they should at least exchange names. Florex questions why that is necessary. She replies that it is the bare minimum courtesy between teachers, and asks him to repeat after her that he is Florex and that it is nice to meet her. Florex wonders why he should bother, but she calmly reiterates that it is basic manners. Furthermore, as his supervisor, she explains that his life will be much easier if he gets along with her. Florex first glares at her outstretched hand, then groans. In one breath and at full speed he blurts out that he is Florex, and that it is nice to meet her. Immediately after, he runs away. Assistant teacher Florex leaves her standing there, and she cannot help but wonder how pampered he must have been while growing up, because his behavior is undeniably irritating. The scene shifts to another day when Florex informs Ephna that he will be leaving. She reminds him that he said he would be working late that day, but he runs off, pretending not to remember making such a statement. She shouts after him that he promised to review the teaching samples with her. He quickly lies, claiming that the director has sent him on an errand, and then leaves. Ephna knows very well that he is not an easy person to deal with, especially considering how he always slips away the moment he sees her. At this rate, she thinks, guiding him is impossible. She can barely manage to hold a proper conversation with him. Nevertheless, she decides to return to her work. She only needs to finish the paperwork before she can leave. Just as she prepares to resume her tasks, she notices that North is there. She asks him what he is doing in the staff room. He responds that he cannot simply nod and ignore the fact that his brother's tutor has been mistreated and overworked, not to mention burdened with worrying about the Empire's future. She remarks that this is always his excuse for visiting. She offers to make some tea so he can sit comfortably, and he gently requests that she refrain from adding anything sweet. Suddenly she hears footsteps. She knows that all the other teachers have already left, but the sound is unmistakably fast and firm. She immediately recognizes it as Florex. He enters the room and looks around, noticing that no one is present. He mutters to himself that she was still in the staff room earlier, and that he even went out of his way to buy those teaching samples. He wonders whether she has gone to the restroom. Ephna quickly hides, panicking internally. She wonders why he is back when he already clocked out. Why is he suddenly acting so diligent when he normally avoids responsibility? Even if he does not care about appearances, she still needs to explain why the Emperor is present in the staff room. In her mind, she silently begs Florex to leave on time just this once. Florex shrugs and mutters that it does not matter, since he does not want to make his actions obvious anyway. He grumbles that babysitting that teacher is too much of a hassle. Hearing this makes Ephna bristle with anger, as she questions what is wrong with his personality. After lingering a moment longer, he finally leaves. Ephna exhales in relief and tells North that it seems she can leave now. She apologizes to him, assuming he must have felt uncomfortable because of the situation. However, North softly calls out to her. He steps closer and leans toward her, asking in a low voice whether he is embarrassing for her. Ephna is slightly taken aback. She quickly explains that he is the treasurer of the nation and, in her view, one of its main pillars. However, he teasingly calls her words disrespectful, which leaves her momentarily confused. She clarifies that, strictly speaking, laying hands on the imperial body is considered a grave crime, and she wonders what exactly he finds amusing. He studies her expression for a moment, and then suddenly bursts into laughter, admitting that he is only joking and asking how he could possibly kill the Empire's precious talent. Ephna cannot help but question what kind of emperor makes such unsettling jokes. She forces a polite response, agreeing that it is, of course, a joke, and adds that he does not seem particularly talented at humor. He replies that since he is talented in so many other areas, being bad at one thing is acceptable. He then observes her pale complexion and remarks that she appears to need medicine rather than poison. He casually adds that he will instruct his right-hand man to prepare it for her by tomorrow. Suddenly, his expression shifts as he notices something unusual. Ephna asks, "What is wrong?" He remains silent for a moment before stating that he will visit another time, as something urgent has come up. As he turns to leave, she asks about his guard. He assures her that they will be following from a distance, unseen. She bids him farewell and asks him to travel safely. However, as she watches him depart, she cannot shake the feeling that something strange just occurred. That expression he wore, it almost felt as though he had sensed a killing intent. The scene shifts to the principal receiving news that the student Aristia of House Hasbin has completely stopped attending. Ephna confirms to the director that several attendance request letters have already been sent, yet no reply has been received. Aristia was originally the main villainess in the story, but since she had been attending kindergarten normally, Ephna believed everything was fine. The director explains that it is still the beginning of the semester, so even missing a few days is serious. With Children's Day approaching soon, the remaining option is a home visit. Thus, Ephna ends up visiting the Duke of Hasbin's estate. Feeling uneasy about sending her alone for extra duty, the principal assigns her an assistant. Unfortunately, the system nags that he had planned to rest since it is the weekend. Ephna admits that she would honestly prefer to go alone, especially since that assistant happens to be Florex. He complains that because she cannot endure long carriage rides, they have to walk halfway. She notices that he seems unusually cheerful while walking, constantly nagging her to adjust her pace, warning that she will lose muscle mass if she walks improperly, instructing her to walk faster here and jog farther there, lecturing her about upper and lower body balance. His endless commentary nearly makes her ears bleed. He casually points out that her ears did not actually bleed, and that she managed to reach the carriage station just fine. When the coachman calls for the next passenger and asks their destination, Ephna states that they are heading to House Hasbin. At that moment, someone calls out to her. It is Marin, who immediately notices that Florex is there as well. Ephna asks Marin what she is doing outside. Marin explains that she went to play with her priest uncle and wanted to continue playing, but her uncle decided it was time to go home. She then asks whether they are going somewhere fun to play too. Ephna hesitates, unsure how to explain, but Florex quickly tells Marin that they are visiting a friend's house and asks if she would like to come along. The mere mention of a friend excites Marin, and she eagerly declares that she loves friends and wants to join them. Marin's priest uncle apologizes to Ephna for leaving her in their care. Ephna reassures him that she will return Marin safely. Soon they finally arrive at the Duke's estate. Aristia herself comes out to greet them, stating that Ephna has arrived and that she has been waiting. Ephna is surprised that Aristia greets them personally. Aristia explains that Ephna is a precious guest and that it is a noble's duty to honor educators. Ephna praises her cleverness and thanks her. Aristia then mentions that she has prepared very sweet refreshments, but regretfully states that she can only host 2 teachers. As a lady, she must unfortunately offend one guest because their house supposedly has an allergy to ugliness. After all, she still carries the temperament of a villainess. Meanwhile, Florex silently wonders what kind of allergy that could possibly be. Fate has certainly arranged for these 2 rivals to meet face to face. The butler arrives and politely asks Aristia to allow him to escort the guests from there. Aristia insists that they are VIPs and entrusts them to his care. As they proceed, Ephna gently reminds Aristia that it is not kind to say mean things to friends, and that people should greet each other politely. Since her teacher requests it, Aristia agrees and formally greets Marin, while still calling her the ugly one. Marin is slightly taken aback but understands the meaning of the insult. She immediately throws a tantrum. The butler leads them into the parlor. Aristia proudly informs them that the tea being served is a flavored blend imported from abroad. Ephna thanks her and inquires whether her parents are away. Aristia confirms that they are, and says her mother instructed her to take good care of Ephna. Ephna compliments her maturity, noting that she already knows how to host guests properly. Ephna then gently states that she has something to ask directly, namely, why Aristia has not been coming to kindergarten. However, Aristia interrupts by commenting that her cake looks slightly strange, so she especially set it aside for the ugly one. Ephna notices that Aristia is clearly dodging the question. She calmly repeats her inquiry, asking why she has not been attending kindergarten, and whether she simply does not wish to go. Aristia struggles to respond. Marin steps in, questioning whether Aristia thinks kindergarten is merely a playground she can attend whenever she pleases, and skip whenever she does not. Ephna wonders where Marin even learned to speak like a strict old man. Marin continues, accusing Aristia of already dodging responsibilities and warning that if she behaves that way, she will grow up to be ugly, unless she has a truly compelling reason. Aristia remains silent for a long moment. Finally, she admits that she does indeed have a reason. She informs them that with her older sister being unwell, she cannot go outside. When asked about her sister's illness, she clarifies that it is not a physical ailment, but rather lovesickness. Her older sister is in love. Ephna is completely taken aback, scolding her gently while insisting that she must attend kindergarten starting tomorrow. Aristia cries, explaining that it is truly a serious matter. Her nature is exceedingly soft-hearted, so for someone like her sister to be love-stricken is unbearably cruel. She feels she must nurse her sister back to health before she can resume her own activities, promising that she will go to kindergarten only once her sister recovers. Florix observes the situation, noting that Ephna seems to be in for some trouble and wonders what she intends to do. Ephna contemplates quietly, aware of the predicament, and wonders what course of action she should take, all while understanding the unusual delight in the situation, the reason behind her smiling so knowingly. Ephna instructs Aristia to help her learn more about her sister's lovesickness. Aristia admits uncertainty, explaining that the names her sister calls out change daily, suggesting she might be enamored with several different people. Ephna scoffs at this notion, asserting that her sister is not in love with just one individual and remarking that she is remarkably passionate. Suddenly, a sobbing cry reaches her ears. The voice, distinctly feminine, belongs to her sister, who emits a pitiful and delicate sound that abruptly escalates into a torrent of cursing. The words that escape her lips are ones that would be wholly inappropriate in a romance fantasy. She cries in frustration, insisting she will not allow the man in question to evade responsibility, and labels him a shameless, thick-skinned person. Aristia points out that the names her sister mentions differ, indicating that it is not merely a single person, while Ephna advises her to ignore the names and focus on the reality that there have been multiple individuals involved before her sister can continue. Her other sister erupts in anger, shouting that she cannot believe someone would leave her simply because another woman returned. She reiterates that he claimed to have ended things, asserting he was over the previous relationship. She is experiencing a truly difficult breakup. She questions who these people are and why they are sneaking into her house, her voice trembling with fear and indignation. Ephna, recognizing the threat, becomes genuinely concerned for her own safety, for her sister is terrifying when enraged. She continues to demand answers, threatening that if no response is given immediately, she will tear those responsible limb from limb. Aristia intervenes, begging her sister to calm down, emphasizing that the visitors are her guests, and pleading with her not to be frightening. Ephna identifies one of the women as the Duchess and approaches, offering a polite greeting. She learns that Aristia is her homeroom teacher. Aristia praises Ephna, asserting that she is extraordinary and capable of anything, instilling confidence that she can assist her sister as well. Ephna stands speechless, considering the unexpected turn of events. Seated, Aristia's sister explains that the situation began when her fiancé's former lover returned, causing her headaches and emotional turmoil. She trusted him implicitly, as he is inherently kind and perhaps unable to be cold, yet she worries that he might be clinging to the other woman due to lingering affection. She continues to rant, expressing concern over the foolishness of the man involved. Ephna urges her to calm down, suggesting she take a sip of water and compose herself. Ephna notes that such cases are ubiquitous, observing that many similar situations occurred in the 21st century before her reincarnation. Florix questions why she would concern herself with such trivial matters if she does not intend to take decisive action, suggesting she simply discard the troublesome man. Ephna cautions against resorting to lethal measures, recommending a solution that avoids criminality. She reflects that she came merely for an enrollment consultation but inadvertently became entangled in an excessive drama. Yet, how could she possibly ignore such heartfelt tears? The scene shifts as a noblewoman inquires if Ephna is speaking about Marquis Hedrix, noting the prevalence of rumors in high society regarding his open interactions with his ex-lover. The noblewoman mentions that he is brazenly participating in the upcoming ancient tomb auction. She offers Ephna an invitation, explaining that her child has grown more vibrant thanks to Ephna's influence and requests that she graciously accept. Ephna consents, intending to be thankful. However, upon reviewing the ticket, she realizes a partner is required to attend. With both of her brothers away on business and the auction imminent, she faces the dilemma of splitting her time. She considers the fantastical notion of splitting her body, but quickly dismisses it. Turning to Florix for assistance proves futile, as he firmly refuses. She then contemplates attending with someone of similar age and unmarried status. A few candidates come to mind, yet all are preoccupied. Suddenly, She recalls North, Jon, and Kaden, who have persistently pestered her daily, despite their own busyness. The next day, at the Grand Temple Annex, Ephna waits, having heard that Jon is at the training grounds. She observes several shirtless men engaged in intense physical training and marvels at their diligence, resolving to make more frequent home visits. Suddenly, Jon appears, apologetic and visibly fatigued from training. Ephna reassures him that there is no need for apology, reminding him that her visit was sudden. He notes that evening approaches and inquires if she has eaten, to which she replies affirmatively. She considers his needs, recognizing that the nights are likely famished after exertion, yet he insists he is fine. He questions what has brought her to the grounds, and her attention momentarily shifts to her hair, wondering if Marin has caused any trouble. She assures him that Marin is well, with no issues at present. Before she can elaborate, he smiles and comments on the rarity of seeing her momentarily at a loss for words, encouraging her to speak freely. Ephna explains that she received an invitation to a fine auction requiring a partner. He responds with a willingness to accompany her, though she notes the absurdity of the requirement. He expresses his enthusiasm for auctions and inquires about the date, to which she informs him it is in 3 days. He apologizes, explaining that the day coincides with his engagement announcement, rendering attendance difficult.